Hello and welcome to your first day of Magical Dub Studies. I'm your Professor Megan, and let's get over some rules in our syllabus first. The first rule here at the Dubby Magic Academy is that strong language and situations that are not suitable for all audiences will occur in this room, so that listeners' discretion is advised. We might summon a random fuck monster or a turd biscuit, so just watch your step. Second, in our theories portions of the class, we will advise you that spoilers for the case file of Lord El-Melloi II, Radio Zeppelin Grace Notes, will be spoiled, as well as other parts of Fate Zero and the Fate franchise as a whole. Also, other spoilers, so if you would like to watch those series and then come back and watch this episode, we recommend that before you get into our course. And third, remember that all of the things said by your professors in this room are that of the individual participants and don't reflect the Dubby's Magic Academy as a whole. Alright, so I see we got a new class, and hold on a second. Yeah, what do you mean there's a unicorn in someone's house? No, he didn't. It's okay. What evidence did you find? Oh, there was unicorn feces on the floor. You're gonna make detective in no time. Alright, give me like a minute. Hey, Steph, come on, I gotta go. I'll leave this class to the other clowns. Surely Andrew won't set anything on fire and Hardy won't summon a goat again. Be right back after we solve the mystery of the unicorn in the bedroom. Hello, fair students, and welcome to the Dub Talk Tower, a place where magical podcasters get together, have weird interdepartment politics, maybe murder each other, and find out the who done it and why done it. Tonight, I am your host, Megan, with my friend, the head of the studio department, Jet.
Yeah, no.
The head of the cute animal department, Roots.
I just made my poop disappear with magic.
And the head of the horny department, Andrew.
Ooh, teach! Is it true that with tenure you can do whatever the fuck you want and not get fired for it?
Only if you go to the school in Irma. And this one, apparently. Welcome to Magic College.
Welcome to Magic...
Well, okay. Welcome to a Magic College that isn't based on transphobia, from what we know of.
That we know of. I mean, granted, look, it's the Fate universe. There could be some shady underbellies behind.
I wouldn't exactly trust Nazi there, so...
Touche.
Fair enough. Okay, well, at least we know the magicians here don't shit their pants and warp it away.
Oh, Goddy. That's...
That was a fun thing we learned since the last Fate episode we did.
Reminder, fuck
Was it that long ago?
I feel like it was.
My God.
You know what was kind of a long time ago? A little anime called Fate Zero.
A decade ago at this point.
Holy shit, really?
Fate Zero came out in 2011.
Oh my god, Andrew, you're right. Stop, don't say anymore.
Oh my god, it literally is almost 10 years to the day.
Stop. I feel like that guy from the Last Crusade.
Oh,
Oh, God.
So, 8 years after that, they decided to make a sequel to Fate Zero based on a set of light novels by a person named Makoto Sanada called The Case Files of Lord El-Melloi II. Because by a question to the class, what was the best part of Fate Zero?
I feel like there's a lot of debatability about that, but I definitely say one of my favorite groups of characters in Fate Zero was definitely Iskandar and his servant master boy, Waver Velvet.
See, I'm surprised you didn't say the copious amounts of porn that came from it.
It did fuel Saber and Iris veal pornography, which is the good shit.
Frankly, it's more love that Iris Veil ever got than Iris Veil ever got from
Kiritsugu.
our good friend Kiritsugu.
Kiritsugu was many things. Not always good things, but he was many things.
He was good at killing moms.
He was good at killing moms. Considerably so. He used a rocket launcher and probably got in a Call of Duty montage for it.
Anyway, full disclosure, we are, by the very nature of the show that we're covering, we will be spoiling a lot of Fate Zero and potentially some of Unlimited Blade Works. We do have episodes on both of those shows and their dubs on the channel already if you'd like to watch them, as well as the dubs being viewable via Funimation. I believe they're still on Netflix. And I think Zero's on Crunchyroll at least.
Yeah, I think there's also some Apocrypha to go into too, actually.
A tad bit of Apocrypha, which we'll get to that. We'll get to that because of all the franchises and Fate that needed to be referenced. At least they brought the good Apocrypha, one of the good Apocrypha characters.
This one's got a lot of fan service.
Anyway, so let's get on with the summary, which is taking place 10 years after the events of the Fourth Holy Grail War, and 2 months before the events of the Fate Stay Night, Fate Unlimited Blade Works, and Fate Heaven's Feel arcs. The story focuses on Lord El-Melloi II, formerly known as Waver Velvet, a successor of Cainith and former master of the Last Grail War, who is now a professor under the ranks of the Mages Association. In his years as a professor at the Clock Tower, he is acting as the temporary head of the El-Melloi household until a proper successor can take over. When strange mysteries involving magic start occurring through London, he teams up with his apprentice, Gray, to solve these magical cases and expose the hidden conspiracies that drive the Mages Association. Have you ever wondered if the best character in Fate grew up to be a tired millennial with a bunch of weird children, and having to travel along with a girl with a magic talking cube and a lantern case? Have you wanted more of Waver Velvet being done with this fucking world?
That is
Have you wanted to see an albino man suddenly spew blood?
You know what? I didn't want that, but you have intrigued me with the premise of albino man spewing blood.
Have you ever wanted to see the most beloved character in all of Fate Zero get ratcheted by a tiny 3-year-old girl while being hung upside down? Have you ever wanted to see 3 women get stuck inside of a magical Macy's? Have you ever wanted to see a train turn into a fucking railgun powered by eyes?
Look, you could have stopped at Waver Velvet and I would have been sold.
At this point, the rest of that is just filling.
And have you ever wanted to see a dog man? Who's not a dog man, but has powers of a dog man. Also, the Roses. The electrical roses. I'm not going to explain what a rose is. You should know that by now, you fucking nerds. Anyway, speaking of fucking nerds, I have these 3 with me, so that we can talk about the dub of this provided by our friends over at... Bang Zoom. Right, Bang Zoom does all of Fate. My bad. The dub provided by our friends at Bang Zoom, as paid for by the one and only Aniplex of America. So let's get this started off with our director and our writer. Our ADR director for this is Christian Lamont, and our ADR writer is Erica Mendez. Christian Lamont, you'll know, is the director for such animes such as Cells at Work, Magia Record, Puella Magi Madoka Magica Side Story, as well as doing a lot of video game directing, most notably 13 Sentinels Aegis Rims. Please play 13 Sentinels Aegis Rim.
I own it, I bought it on sale, I promise I'll get to it at some point. I'm really curious.
Me too. Erica Mendez, this is not her first time at the Fate Rodeo. She was the ADR director of Fate Apocrypha, Fate Extra Last Encore, as well as The Wonderland. So tonight we'll be giving our thoughts on the 14 episodes of this dub, because there is an episode 0 that came out like months beforehand, and then the show itself was 13 episodes. Let's get this started off with Roots.
Yeah. A very interesting thing with the script writing, it strikes a very delicate balance. Ordinarily, I complain when dubs feel too dry and too stiff. But considering the subject matter of the Lord El-Melloi, the second case files, that actually works in its favor. A lot of info gets dumped on you at once, and at the same time, it doesn't particularly feel like an info dump. A lot of very interesting things going on with that. And then also, at the same time, when things are meant to get sort of... There are points in the series where the comedy ramps up and things get really punchy. Script writing generally is able to keep up with that really well. Also, the casting and direction are pretty spot on. So, I know I'm making this kind of quick, but thumbs up.
Awesome, thanks, Roots. Andrew, do you want to go?
Yes, I will. I'll say this. The thing I was most surprised about when I saw this is that when it comes to Fate and Bang Zoom, almost every Fate title is done and directed by one Tony Oliver. So it was pretty interesting seeing another director actually step into the helm for this one. But I'll definitely say Christian seems like a very commendable director and a very solid, worthwhile pick to take over for Tony. He brought back a lot of different people from the Fate mythos, put them, and they're all in one crackpot, as well as a couple of new / returning faces. Because there's a lot of people from old Fate dubs that were in that character in old Fate dubs that are in this new Fate dub. And there's also people that were in previous Fate dubs who are new characters in this new Fate dub, and I'm making this overly convoluted, but it's Fate. At this point, you know what you signed up for. And what you're signing up for this time around is the magical anime version of a super Hulock show. You've got a little bit. You've got the Sherlock, obviously. That's pretty obvious. You've got the supernatural, and a little bit of the Doctor Who in the form of the sci-fi train with a lot of weird murdered fairies and denizens, and there's just a guy in the background with a fucking frog for a head, and nobody ever mentions him.
What do you mean you don't like the Chrono Trigger reference?
So yeah, no, this Fate series is a lot of the magic lore mythos of the Fate universe in the guise of a murder mystery whodunit series, starring tired, disgruntled Waver Velvet, which is a weird premise. I'm not 100% sure how much I loved it, but I'll say the direction of everybody in this cast really, really made it a much more enjoyable experience for me overall. Christian does a great job, as well as Erica, adding a lot of flair, a lot of clever wittiness to it. I think they did especially a great job with Waver's dialogue in particular. I love the additions to just making him say elementary all the time when it's just like, okay, yeah, no, we're just going full Sherlock on this, and I appreciate that. There's a lot of science technobabble that they managed to make coherent and as comprehensible as can be. I'm not going to say it made it comprehensible, because some of it was weird. Like, some of the magic concepts in this were about as far-fetched and science magic babble as it gets. But no, I'm kind of rambling now.
Fate show, what did you think?
I know, but this one, it was especially very, yeah. But all in all, Christian definitely adds a lot to some of these character deliveries, and Erica adds a lot to the characters' dialogue overall. It's a very enjoyable combination, and I think they did a really good job adding to the Fate lore, legacy, and history of Fate dubs.
Some thanks, Andrew. Let's go ahead with Jet.
So, yeah, like Andrew was saying, it was interesting seeing a different director handling a Fate thing, because I am gotten pretty used to Tony Oliver doing Fate stuff at this point. But I think Christian did a really good job of picking up the mantle. The direction here is really solid. All of the performances here sound pretty smooth. It sounds about as consistent as any other Fate dub, so that's definitely Pretty solid praise. Script-wise, I thought Erica did a really good job here, as he definitely showed with Apocrypha that he has like a pretty good handle on how to deal with fate stuff. Because like even in this show, there is a lot of prose, as is with every fate thing. And while that kind of proves to be kind of a little bit tricky to make have it flow well in English, I thought Erica did a really good job of making it work and having a little fun with it every now and then with I guess some fun detective quips. So yeah, really good on both ends.
Awesome, thanks. For me, this is really weird because I actually watched this show as it aired subtitled.
Really?
Yes, I watched every episode of this as it came out in 2019.
Same.
I too watched a couple, but not the whole thing.
I watched the whole thing.
I think I watched up to the first 4 episodes before I fell off it, because I was intrigued, but I definitely wasn't enamored by the show.
This is definitely a show for if you really fucking like Waver Velvet, the character. There's no ways around this. If you did not give 2 fucks about his character, you're not going to give 2 fucks about the show. Is the show a good mystery show? Debatable.
Oh, that's very debatable.
Debatable.
This
is not a good mystery.
Okay, that's not even debatable. It's just a no. It's too reliant on a bunch of lore that most people aren't really going to understand. Anyway,
give a shit about.
So.
Like, if you are not fully invested into the Fate franchise as a whole, the show is not going to do anything for you. And if you don't like good mystery shows, this isn't going to do a lot for you. If you like really good mystery shows, this is not the show for you. You are 100% watching this show because you're me and you're a slut for Waver Velvet.
Like, the big murder mystery is the train murder mystery, and everything...
Which is like the last 6 episodes of the show, the first 5 are fucking filler.
Like, literally, the fucking train thing was... The outcome of that was almost like I couldn't even follow how things were happening.
It was ridiculous.
Honestly, almost none of the mysteries are actually possible to solve on your own as the audience, really.
But, like, the one thing I want to add to the compliments on is that Erica Mendez's writing on this does make a lot of the techno babble and magic babble very comprehensible. It's a real testament when you make stuff that is very, very lore-centric to a certain franchise come off as very easy to understand and very palatable. I can't give her more compliments for that. I do think that, like everybody else said, the script walks the fine line of being faithful to it while adding a little bit of just flair. But to me, the real thing that excels in this is the voice direction. For many people, it feels like if they played this character in another Fate franchise, they walked immediately and were able to slip back into the skin of this character. And especially the actor for Lord El-Melloi II, who by far has to do, I think, some of the most taxing carrying of the performances. This is a character that everybody knows very well from a now 10-year-old story that is still regarded as the pinnacle of one of the pinnacles of the Fate multimedia franchise. Like, and for me, I actually didn't like watching the subtrack for this. I much prefer the dub of Fate, of the Case Files of Lord El-Melloi. No offense to Daisuke Namikawa, but to me, a lot of offense to Daisuke Namikawa.
I will give at least some offense to Daisuke Namikawa.
Daisuke Namikawa, the person, can kind of fuck off, but Daisuke Namikawa, the actor, is a pretty good actor. But to me, that performance is not Lord El-Melloi to me. Like, there are very few dubs where I say, like, there is a superior version, in my opinion. And to me, the actor who plays Lord El-Melloi in English is always going to be the superior version of that character.
Oh, 100%.
I think it's one of the most perfect performances ever put to a dub. That said, I also want to really compliment a lot of the new edition characters. There's a lot of casting in here that I actually wouldn't have thought of. Like, Rhinus' actor. Not the person I thought who would be playing Rhinus. arenas, just there's a lot of really fun casting in this. And the only thing I have to really complain about this dub is not on Christian and Erica's fault. This one goes to Aniplex of America itself.
How so?
Please credit your fucking actors.
Ah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I wanted to talk about Trisha, who's a very big part of the Rail Zeppelin part. I could not find any information who played her on ANN. We asked people who we thought it was on Twitter, and unfortunately didn't get an answer from them or Christian Lamont, which I can completely understand why those two people didn't respond to us. It's not their job to tell us every casting information for every show they've ever done. And this is a complaint I'm going to lodge at all anime companies, except for Sentai. Sentai gets to escape this because they're the only mainstream anime company who credits all of their actors for their dubcast simuldub stuff. Like, start crediting your fucking actors. It's really exhausting, and it's just really bad to mistake people from other people, so we couldn't talk about them. Originally, Dr. Heartless and Carvo, who are two other really big characters in this, weren't credited on the DVD, on the Blu-ray release, and the Blu-ray at all. They're not credited on Aniplex's website for this work. They're not credited in the art book that comes with the Blu-ray set, which, by the by, all of us have bought this except for Andrew, who got it gifted to him.
Yeah, that was a fun surprise. Yeah, this one's not currently streaming right now, which is kind of annoying.
Annoying. Like, at least, we put at least $400, $500 between the four of us on purchasing this. And, like, I'm not gonna lie, I usually don't buy a ton of stuff from Aniplex. I have 3 of their releases. I might have a couple more. I'm thinking about grabbing the Madoka movies. I'm thinking about actually grabbing Zero. If they end up putting out, like, Skate the Infinity, I'm gonna fucking grab that. I'm probably gonna grab Wonder Egg from them if it's them.
Wonder Egg's Funimation.
Okay, cool. I'm not gonna have to pay out my ass for that. But the big thing is, please just credit your goddamn actors. Like,
no,
I should not have to, like, we are really lucky that Jet got to find out who the actors for Carabo and, Dr. Heartless were.
Yeah,
Jet had an amazing ear to guess who the 2 actors for that were, asked them on Twitter, and they both responded.
Yeah, no, real props for that one, bud. Thank you for that.
Yeah, sure.
Like, Jet is the main reason that we can actually talk about some more of the performances in this, and not every podcast should have to come down to, like, one of our members figuring out who it were, or some of the people on Twitter who somehow are able to get a lot of this information out of people.
Legitimately, all companies, save for Sentai, ironically enough,
and kind of Netflix.
yeah, Sentai and Netflix are like the big ones. Legitimately, please add more dub cards to your ongoing simuldub projects. Please and thank you. Aniplex of America actually has done this in the past before with the other Fate show, which we may get to eventually.
Yeah, I mean, that's weird because they're usually not terrible about this. Like, perfect example, Vivi. They've actually been pretty consistent about crediting people for that one. Like, even folks I wasn't expecting them to actually bother with.
This one's more of a pet peeve to make our lives a little bit easier, but it's still kind of frustrating.
It's more of it's less even of a pet peeve, it's more you should be crediting your fucking actors.
The talent pool should be known for this one, and it's kind of ridiculous that, like, some critical characters still weren't known. Even some other people that are sort of major-ish in the show, it's like, I have no idea who played that blonde guy with the suit that got kidnapped by the fairies or something. God, what the...
Oh, that was apparently Ben Lipley.
Oh, is that who that was? Okay.
Yeah, according to ANN, that was Ben Lipley.
Cool.
Which we're not talking about that character, so.
Okay, I actually didn't check. Thank you.
Yeah, there are a couple of ensemble people who have been credited through ANN.
Or have just come out and said it on Twitter.
Or if they've come out and say it, and that's why it's on ANN. Remember, kids, if you want a really good database for, hey, who the fuck's voice acting in this show, please go to ANN. They have to actually be Like, it has to have a fucking source.
Or if you really want pictures that badly, go to Anime Planet. They're usually pretty good too.
Yep.
Yeah.
Noted. Alright.
I'm ready to move on. If you guys are ready to move on.
Yeah, let's do it.
I'm ready to board the train, and I would like to know if it's gonna fit or not.
Never gonna escape the train thing. Also, my computer is just suddenly like, you don't need to go on fucking A&N right now.
Do, 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 do,
Do, do, do, do, do, do. So let's start about the bad end of the people on the train. The less savory people. We have the main villain of this series, one Dr. Heartless, whose heart was stolen by a fairy and now he does bad things.
Okay, sorry. I'm sorry. Just his heart was stolen by a fairy, so now he is Dr.
Yeah.
What the fuck kind of stupid thing is that?
It's fate. What the fuck did you expect?
Even fate's a little more subtle than that. Fuck.
Are you sure about fate being a little more subtle, Andrew? Are you sure? Have you seen Gilgamesh's outfit?
Okay, you know what? You make a fair point.
Remember, he's either dressed in gold, he's shirtless, or, again, he looks like he picks up women at the abortion clinic.
God, I forgot about that. Oh. Oh, man, it's been a hot minute since we've done a Fate one. I'm ready for anything. Ugh. Okay. Dr. Heartless, the man...
Dr. Heartless, he has a servant, because a lot of the last part of this series revolves around somebody stealing Iskandar's summoning item, and Waver gets very upsetty about this, because Waver is wanting to join the 5th Holy Grail War, you know, the one with Shiro running the gang,
Mm-hmm.
where Sex is either a CGI dragon, Shinji Mato gets turned into an Akira monster, or Heaven's Feel. I can't make fun of Heaven's Feel.
I mean, the stuff with soccer is still questionable. So
Fair enough, but still.
So he summons a servant who says they are Hephaestion, who is apparently Iskandar's #1 confidant. Turns out that's not true, and they are the quote-unquote faker class, because Dr. Heartless has made a new class of servant that he calls faker class.
Because fuck it.
I'm
And
sorry.
in truth, because I'm gonna fuck this shit. I'm gonna make my own servant class with blackjack and hookers. You know what? Forget the blackjack. In truth, they are actually Iskandar's shadow. They were born without a name and placed. They're called Iskandar's shadow. She was the true younger twin sister of Hephaestion. She basically acted like a body double and confidant, and she thinks that Waver Velvet is not worthy of being one of Iskandar's servants, and they get into kind of a "nuh-uh, he was my dad" type of fight with each other. Is about the best way to describe
Pretty much.
it.
Okay, hang on. Sorry, I just need a second. So, Hephaestion is Iskandar's confidant, yes?
Yes. This faker is their twin sister who did a bunch of shit and never actually truly followed in Ryder's ideals, and she died. So she's mad.
So she's the twin sister of Hephaestia, who kind of didn't actually... Hephaestion, who actually didn't follow Iskandar to the end of the world, and then died in a ditch, and now is wearing his clothes
and stole his fucking chariot.
And stole his chariot. Okay,
Yes.
just trying to figure that out. I'm sorry. The way they say that she is a new class, the faker class, is so fucking funny. It's so funny. I can't think.
I love you, Fate, and your stupid lore. And then there is Yvette El-Melloi. She is a student who looks fucking ridiculous. She is also a member on the train. Her family specializes in gems to create mystic eyes, which are the kind of big thing in this series. There are magic eyes, so my brand comes into vision. Her entire quirk is, for some reason, she wants to be his mistress.
Not his
She
wife.
wants to his mistress. She wants to fuck Waver Velvet, and Waver, thanks to, being an upstanding citizen,
And also gay.
keeps... That too.
Did I just break your train of concentration?
Shut up. Yes. Fuck.
I mean, for once, Andrew was not wrong.
like there's like Yvette is just throwing her entire everything at him, and he's like, "Honey, please, you're a 6
You're
at
a minor.
best.
You're a minor.
You're a minor.
Just
you are too young
and a
for
6
me,
at
and
best.
also, God, I would never."
Just, I'm so mad that he said it before me. Just damn it. But yeah, no, like there's literally a scene where Yvette's in the magical Macy's, and she's like, "Ooh, a thong. Maybe he'll like me now." And like, she's like the worst fucking character.
So
Like, I hate her character so much. She has no use for, like, she's literally there. Like, her whole thing is that she was actually, like, she was actually in cahoots with Heartless the whole time for money. And, like, it's like, well, we wanted these magic guys, whoopsie doodles. And then at the end of the series, they're like, how the fuck did you get out of jail? It's like, they let me out on probation.
it's like her entire character is so jarring for the tone of the show already, because she is basically, what if a pastel goth had a personality that was like, ooh woo, let me see your bulgy wulgy.
Ooh, Velvet Coon, let me have some of your cummy wummies.
Oh god, you're not even wrong. Ugh.
Like, I was gonna say she looks like Hatsune Miku fucked a pastel goth, but...
Yeah.
And she's also got, like, a diamond for an eye.
Yeah.
That sets shit on fire.
That can't be sanitary.
Anyway. Playing Dr. Heartless.
This show is entertaining, but it's also, this whole section's making me realize...
I fucking love you, Fate. I fucking love the Fate franchise. It's so fucking stupid.
Yeah.
Playing Dr. Heartless is Kevin M. Connolly. Playing Faker/Hephaestion is Morgan Berry. And playing Yvette is Sarah Ann Williams. Kevin M. Connolly, you'll know his characters such as Kotaro in Beatex. Everyone's favorite avatar for the tit bomb in your tit scientist, Heathcliff in Sword Art Online. And the narrator in Welcome to Demon School, Iramakun.
Yeah.
Which is actually the only reason I recognized it was him.
Which, you know
Thank
what?
you, Jet.
Thank you for that. But honestly, as soon as I heard him talk, I was like, okay, yeah, I fucking hear it now.
That's just fucking Heathcliff. Morgan Berry, you'll know his characters such as NK Cell in Cells at Work, Rindo Kobayashi in the Food Wars franchise, and Muraha and Yashahime, half demon princess, aka Best Girl. Sarah Ann Williams, you'll know his characters such as Midari Ishikima in the first dub of Kakegurui.
We're not gonna touch that.
Natsuki Nakagawa in Liz and the Bluebird, and Saya Sasayama in the Astric War. Andrew, you go first this time.
So,
I'm sorry, I have a needy cat who really wants my attention right now.
as somebody who now has his own needy cat of his own, I understand completely. I'll start with Dr. Heartless, who just kind of MacGuffins his way into the show, because the whole thing is that he's really the big bad. They allude to him, but it turns out that the one who actually killed Trisha was him, posing as Callus Yigida Millennia.
We'll get to that!
We'll get to that. And was actually Dr. Heartless, his mortal enemy. And I'm sorry, the more I'm processing the show, the more I'm realizing it's kind of...
Are you okay, Andrew? Are you okay?
I'm good, but
No,
I'll
you're
say Kevin M. Connolly, he does a good job sounding like this very cocky, sure of himself son of a bitch that knows it all, and it's just like, yo, I want to make my own grail, because of course you do, this is fate. Everybody wants to have a dip in that cup of death. But no, I think he does a good job. He's this very cool, calculating asshole, and you can definitely tell he's got some things going on in his head that he's definitely going to cause some trouble. I'll move on next to Yvette, because what if Sarah Ann Williams was just as ooh-woo, cutesy-wootsy, rar means I love you in dinosaur, but also, like, a fucking pastel goth that wants to suck off Waver Velvet, but is totally, like, say what you will, she knows she's never going to be number one. She's more than willing to be a side hoe, and she's ready to be the side hoe. She has her exit from the 4th floor of the building plan all ready to go. Like, she's been training her whole life for that. But no, Sarah's just got this very chaotic, like, ooh-woo gremlin vibe to her going. And it's like, she's played a lot of different gremlins, but this one is especially, chaotic horny is the best way I can describe Yvette. And also, she just has a jewel in her eye. And...
sanitary purposes unknown.
Alright, I'm gonna make this joke. She would totally be the freak that would let somebody go into that hole.
Oh, she's like 16, dude.
I mean, is she 16? I thought they were in college.
Oh yeah, they're in college. Oh yeah, that's right, they're in magic college.
They're in magic college, even though some of them definitely look like babies, but, you know, anime. But no, like, she is... What I'm saying is she's a freak and she would let somebody do stuff with the eye hole. I really don't know where else to go with this, so I'm just going to talk about Faker. Morgan Berry. Delightful. Badass. Like, that level of strength, warrior energy, while also being a little bit fierce, sexy, and commanding too. Very interesting, strange character, but I like her fights when she is facing off against Waver, and especially when she's facing off with Gray. She's got a good level of, like, anger, power, regret, but also a good level of, like, charm and cockiness to her, too. Like, you can definitely tell that she has elements of Iskandar's pride and cockiness, but you can definitely tell that she is not the real deal. But without a doubt, yeah, Morgan does a great job bringing the Faker to life. Oh god, now I'm just imagining the scene from Sonic Adventure 2. You're the fake Faker! It's like, oh my god. I can see it. But no, I really like Morgan's particular delivery with Faker, because it's just a level of strength and complexity that I was pleasantly surprised by. And no, she was definitely a fun little foil for the show. And I think Morgan's delivery is really strong.
Awesome, thanks Andrew. Jet?
Sure. I guess I'll start with Sarah Ann Williams as Yvette the Horny Gremlin. I mean, at this point, this is kind of in Sarah Ann Williams' specific wheelhouse. I mean, this kind of character she normally plays, perhaps hornier, but otherwise it is very much the kind of gremlin she would normally play. And as she plays it well, she makes Yvette sound very energetic and whatnot. And it's weird she's constantly trying to get in Waver's heads, but I mean, that man isn't straight, so that's never working out. So, I mean, yeah, there really isn't. I mean, it's a fun performance, and there really isn't much there beyond that one single joke. So, yeah. Kevin M. Connolly as Dr. Heartless does a pretty good job. I appreciate that there's just this very kind of casual tone to his voice, where he sounds very nonchalant for what's probably our main bad guy. But it does also kind of help to give the impression that he's maybe thinking a few steps ahead of everyone else, which is kind of a neat little addition there. I mean, in the grand scheme of things, it kind of comes out of basically nowhere in the final inning. So I don't know if I'd really be able to get like a full impression of him unless we somehow got another season. But otherwise, I thought Kevin did fine. And then Morgan Berry as Hephaestion. So again, I'm not as used to Morgan Berry as the rest of you are, so this is like maybe slightly deeper than what I've heard from her before, but I thought she did a really good job with it. And there's definitely a very natural sense of power and confidence to her voice, and this kind of maybe it gives the impression that that figure here is definitely as tough as she claims to be, and that sounds really cool. Uh, since she has a lot of confidence in one of his canon subjects, it's not too hard to imagine why she's frustrated with Waver being so wishy-washy about everything, and I thought Morgan got that frustration across really well. And also kind of does with some of her interactions with Gray, where she at least has some respect for Gray as like a warrior and whatnot. And it's not their whole like interaction with the cave in the cave where she's like trying to warn Gray that Weaver's desire to get into the Ground War might not work out, and the way he thinks it will. I thought that whole exchange was pretty good. And yeah, it was a pretty good performance. All three of these props on.
Awesome, thanks, Jet. Patrick?
I'm going to start with Sarah Ann Williams because, I know she does a lot of these sort of gremlin-esque characters. But this is one of the first times I've actually heard her not as, like, a tsundere. And it's interesting because I think the last episode I recorded before this one was Ride Your Wave, where I got to talk about Sarah Ann Williams as a tsundere. Like, even though this is still a gremlin-ish character, this is enough of a change of pace that it feels really refreshing for me. Unfortunately, there's not much more to her character other than sort of the gremlin-esque aspect of her. So it felt a little one note, but that was sort of the character holding her back and not her holding the character back. If you know what I mean. Morgan Berry as Faker. She had a really haughty energy to her that I really enjoyed, and it also felt like that confidence and bravado was just another element of herself that she was faking for everyone else. Given the flashback scene where she reaches the end of the sea and she's just like, yeah, this is not what you told me it would be, Iskandar, kind of thing. Like, I thought that was really great. Her interactions with Gray were also really fun. Yeah, I particularly liked the last couple episodes of the show where it's the final fight between her and, Gray, and Waver. I'm sorry, Lord El-Melloi. But
It's Waver.
It's pretty much Waver.
I'll talk about that when we get to Melvin.
But yeah, it's really fun, and you really get the sense that sort of that bravado isn't her true personality. And unfortunately, because Dr. Heartless only gets like one episode, maybe two, there's not really a lot to go off of, but look, Kevin M. Connolly is basically playing another version of Heathcliff in this show, and it's something I really like. He did a really good job sort of playing the mastermind, even though, like, every aspect of his little plan just seems like absolute bullshit, but somehow it's working. It's great. I love it. I love this trio. So, solid job all around.
Awesome, thanks, Patrick. I'll start off with Yvette. Like I said, Yvette's like my least favorite character in this show because she's just really uncomfortable as a character. Like, she basically exists to just be like a sex joke at Waver, and then they kind of give her plot relevance by having her suddenly be against him. Like, I guess, sure. But I think Sarah does a good job with the material given to her. She's funny when she needs to be funny. She's got a lot of energy to the performance when she needs to. So overall, I do think it's a solid member of the ensemble. Michael Connolly as Dr. Heartless kind of gets to chew his scene for like the one episode where he comes in. And I actually think he's a really good pick for this character going forward if they were to somehow make more of this show, which I don't think they will. I think he does a good job counterbalancing against Lord El-Melloi character, who is a little bit, while he is a little bit more, like, toned down and stuff, when he has to, like, kind of lash out, he does lash out. I think he definitely is he tries to be the cooler Lord El-Melloi, kind of in the voice. You know, like that picture of the Darien, the cooler Darien.
Yeah.
Like that type of shit. Like, that's what that performance does for me, but he does a really good job. To me, the real standout of this section is Morgan Berry, who makes Hephaestion sound very sexy.
You like the type that can kick your ass.
The gay half of my brain was happy.
You like the kind of woman
that will just... The lesbian half of my brain was happy, okay?
You like the kind of woman that will just actually fucking kill you, huh?
Yes! We've established this multiple times. Hephaestion is hot, but I think the thing for me is that, like, very rarely does Morgan Berry get to play very sexy women. Very sexy adult women. Like, this reminds me a lot of her performance as NK Cell in Cells at Work. Which, for some reason, Cells at Work Season 2 is one of the few shows I finished this year.
Nice.
That is not that is W eligible, but I didn't finish the dub. I watched it completely subtitled.
Heretic.
Heretic.
You said her. I don't care.
But Morgan does have this very big sense of pride and anger in her Hephaestion performance, because Hephaestion is essentially this antagonistic foe to Waver, but she also gives up listening to her master because of her pride, and you get to see her kind of have this villainous breakdown as she goes against Waver and Gray. And that's something I really like. I think her performance in episode 12 is fantastic, where she's melting down against Carbo, Gray, and Waver as she's getting her ass kicked, and then she eventually just says, "Fuck it," basically, and goes all out. This is one of my favorite Morgan Berry performances, especially as an adult character, and I really want to see Morgan get to do more performances like this. A lot of times, I think a lot of us know Morgan Berry for her little boys, and less of her adult women, so I really do appreciate Christian's casting here, and I think he did a great job with her. Are we ready to move on to the quote-unquote good side of the train?
Oh, man.
Quote-unquote, yes.
Put that in air quotes, a couple of them.
I did. There's like 7 air quotes. We have... I'm going to say this entire name, and I'm going to hate myself for it. Olga Marie Arismilia Amphisphere.
Oh my god.
Gesundheit. We have Hishiri Adashino. And we have Carbo Frampton. Olga Marie is the heir to the Amphisphere family. She was abandoned by her dad when he went crazy over the Holy Grail War and its knowledge, and was eventually killed by, Dr. Heartless. But a lot of you who are Fate fans would know Olga Marie not from this, but from the Fate Grand Order side of the Fate franchise, as she is the head of the, the fuck is it called?
Chaldea?
Chaldea. She's from Chaldea. She heads the Chaldea thing. Also, being Olga Marie is suffering.
Okay, legit.
Being Olga Marie sucks.
There are some characters in the Fate franchise and mythos that get done dirty. We have joked that Lancers all get done dirty. I don't think there is a single character that has a worse outcome fate. Wow, I used the title, actually. Than Olga Marie Animusphere.
I was gonna say, does Sakura Mato get to count in this?
I'm gonna...
Sakura Mato's up there!
Sakura Mato's up there, but... Okay, Fate Chapter 1 spoilers. Olga Marie is in a constant state of dying for eternity.
Pretty much.
Like, she gets fucked.
Yeah, shit sucks.
And here she is as a baby who is watching her friend die and has to...
Her babysitter die.
And has to deal with the trauma that her friend and babysitter, one of the few people that cares about her, is the antithesis of the murder mystery.
dead and gets her head, and at one point she literally pulls her head out of a pocket dimension.
Yep.
You know, for kids. There is, of course, Hisiri Adashino. She's an officer from the Politaries Department. She's basically Waver's other nemesis. She's also Dr. Heartless's sister. Not by blood, but by succession, because fuck you.
That's how things work in this universe.
Yeah. And Karma Frampton is an executioner from the Holy Church who has the magic eyes of transcendence. I think that's what it was. He essentially has eyes that let him see into the past and see people's past. And eventually they get ripped out and then they get put back in, but he dies. He's also cool as shit, though.
Oh no, Karabu's fucking
and for
cool.
characters from the church in a Fate series, he's better than what we've gotten.
In the
Kotamine.
past. In the past. Also, I'm gonna make a joke that I think only Jet here will appreciate. Jet, I'll say this. I did not expect that the entirety of the Rail Zeppelin arc was basically going to be the murder mystery equivalent of the York New City arc from Hunter x Hunter, where they're trying to auction off special eyes.
My brand.
God, it is my brand, yeah.
Anyway, playing Olga Maria Amphisphere, or at least can I say reprising her role as Olga Maria Amphisphere, is Kira Buckland. Playing Adashino is Julie McElvaney. And playing Karabo is John Eric Bentley. Kira Buckland you'll know as characters such as Izumiko Kamiki in Blue Exorcist, Lyria in Grand Blue Fantasy the Animation, and Azase Amelie in Welcome to Demon School. Irma-kun, best girl.
You're not wrong.
Julia McElvaney you'll know as characters such as Monica Campbell in Hero Mask, Natalia Garnett in Levius, and Cecilia Scythia in Monster Girl Detective. Monster Girl Doctor, not Detective. I would fucking watch the shit out of a Monster Girl Detective show.
Dude, a fucking Lamia who's got like a fucking like Sherlock Holmes hat and like a Watson cane, I'd fucking watch that.
Down, boy. John Eric Bentley, you know, as characters such as Various Trust and Promare, Tiger's Eye in Pretty Guardian Sailor Moon, Eternal, and Nathan Seymour, aka Fire Emblem in Tiger and Bunny. Let's start this off with Jet.
Kira Buckland as Olga Marie. Admittedly, I have not seen much of Fate Grand Order, so this is my first time ever really hearing her as this character. I thought Kira did a fine job here, did a good job of making Olga Marie sound very bratty and full of herself constantly, especially in like pretty much all of her interactions with Waver, where she's just kind of mean to him the entire time. But at the same time, I thought she did a really good job of sounding, very distraught and broken after Olga loses Trisha, and you can kind of tell from Kira's tone how much Trisha meant to her, and that came off really well in Kira's performance, and she does kind of mellow. She does kind of mellow out a little bit after that, but she never stops coming off as like a little bit of a suitor towards Waver and Gray, which could be amusing, but was also maybe annoying in a couple of places. But otherwise, I thought Kira's performance was pretty good. Julie as Adashino. This is only like maybe my second or third time really hearing her or something, but I really liked her a lot here. I thought she had like a very professional tone to her voice. It makes her come off as the kind of person who would be very good at playing politics and good at tricking people into doing what she wants, which is basically just all of her interaction with Waver and her pretty much getting Waver to do what she wants, basically. And with that in mind, she bounces off of Waver pretty well. And while he definitely is, like, all business and dealing with him, you can also tell that she just kind of enjoys messing with him. And I thought that Julie did a really good job of getting that across. And lastly, John Eric Bentley as Carbo. I thought he did a really good job. He had a kind of solid weariness to his tone, and I definitely gave the impression that this is a man who's just kind of been around for a long time, seen a lot of stuff in his life, and just like kind of done with it. And I thought that John did a really good job of getting it across. I also did really dig the whole thing with how his mystic eyes work, and that whole thing was really cool. Kind of a shame we didn't really get to use them that often, but the whole eye auction thing is fun, I guess.
Like I said, it legit reminds me of York New City, where they're auctioning off the Kurta eyes.
Yeah. If anyone complaint, it's not with him necessarily, but more the show, because like because I feel because even though I suppose it was like telegraphed decently enough that something was going to happen to him, I feel like I blinked and missed it that he like died at some point.
I wasn't even sure if he died. I think he got like a fatal wound, but it's like, I'm gonna be real.
It's when Hephaestion kicks him.
Yeah, because like they were talking about him in the past, and I was like, wait, did I miss something?
I'm
Yeah,
gonna be
same.
real. There's also characters in Fate that have survived much worse wounds. Like I thought Hephaestion
Waver.
was fucked, and it's like, oh hey, they're walking in a cave next episode. So
Yeah.
until there's a body, I don't buy it.
But yeah, other than that, I thought Don did a really good job here. So yeah, these performances were fun.
Awesome, thanks, Jet. Let's go to Roots.
I guess I'll go with Olga Marie. Because like Jet, I'm not familiar with her performance in Fate Grand Order. Typically, with a Fate show, I wait until we're ready to start planning an episode before I actually jump into the dub. So it'll be interesting going into that, because this, to my knowledge, was dubbed after. Or probably around
yes,
the same
this
time.
was this was dubbed after the Fate Grand Order OVA was done and cast.
Okay, because I could have sworn this came out like... Oh, you know what? Too much to think about right now. Anyway.
I think this dub came out after both Fate Grand Order's OVA, and then... Was it after Camelot? No, not Camelot. Babylonia?
If anything, they probably recorded this in Babylonia at the same time.
It's
That's
possible
also what
that
I'm
might-
thinking,
that-
but yeah.
That actually is probably why Christian's directing this instead of Tony. That actually would make a lot of sense.
It's... I feel like it's going to be interesting going back to Grand Order and revisiting Olga Marie. I liked her sort of childishness at the beginning of the Rail Zeppelin arc that sort of gradually morphs and evolves into this really capable character who who's a lot smarter at what she needs to be able to do in order to solve the mystery of the death of her caretaker. And I thought it was really great. And yeah, I had a train of thought there, but I kind of lost it. Anyway,
Would you say that you lost your head, not unlike her friend Trisha?
go to the corner.
Well, I'll have you know...
Go to the pocket dimension.
Oh, God, I hate the pocket dimension. There's no gravity, and it smells in there.
Julia McElvaney. You know, it's weird. I'm gonna say... I like the performance, but it was just... For some reason, the character's design just felt out of place in the rest of the show.
Okay, my one argument is... Yvette's right there.
It's not necessarily the fact that, like, Adashino is traditionally dressing in Japanese garb in, like, every scene she's in. That's something I expect, but it's just, like, her actual character design doesn't look like it fits in with the rest of the show, and it's really weird. Anyway, I really like the fact that she's able to adequately play Lord El-Mellai's foil in, like, 2 or 3 of the cases over the course of the show. And it's just, she has her own agenda with all of this stuff and the investigation she does. And it's really fun watching her butt heads. So I thought she did a really great performance, and this is probably my first exposure to her. I could be wrong, but it's a good first impression. And John Eric Bentley as Carabo, I really liked him in this. It's, he has a weird kind of fatherly energy to him, which, considering the backstory of his character, just, it's incredibly weird when you start to learn about that, but I really like the energy his performance gave off, particularly at the point where you learn that he's sort of trying to redeem himself for the murders he kind of committed, but kind of didn't.
He got puppeteered? Sort of? Maybe?
Like it was fun, just don't think about it too much. But all in all, like, for the rest of the sort of Rail Zeppelin characters, I thought this was really fun, really great. Thumbs up.
Andrew.
Okay, so I'll start with, I'll bounce off roots, I'll start with, I'll go with Adashino first. I've heard Julia in one other thing, and that's as the voice of Oleana in Pokemon Twilight Wings. That's what it was. Because the fun thing about the Sword and Shield games not having an official English dub cast or any voice acting at all is that there are 3 separate English dub casts for all of these characters, and they're all different. But Julia was the one for the web series animated by Studio Colorido, and she was pretty fun as Oleana in that. That's why I know her. But Julia as Adashino has this very snake-like quality where you could tell that she is like the authority and the rival sector of the clock tower. But you can tell that she's got ulterior motives up the wazoo, to the fact that her spells are basically just a giant fucking snake. She is just a snake. She's a sexy snake, but by God, she is going to bleed you dry. That's how she is. Also, she can just store knife slashes for later. It's like going to the DMV. Oh, okay, sorry. I gotta record this knife slash. Can we use it in 20 minutes? Okay, sure. I don't get how that works, but yeah, no. Julia's got a very good. You can tell she's definitely a snake for sure. That's the big thing, is that she has giant snake and she has ulterior motives. But I think Julia does a great job conveying that. Let's see, who else we got. We also have Olga Marie. So yeah, this is definitely a Kira Buckland performance I am very familiar with, in that she is a bit of a cocky tsundere who's a lot more sensitive and vulnerable than she lets on, but then finds her own strength and resolve and will to fight back. Which is all cool, which is all dandy. I think I'm the only one here who's actually watched the OVA of...
Oh no, I've seen it.
Oh, you have seen it too, okay. Because
I've seen it.
I heard a little bit of that. And heard a little bit of this performance. It's definitely one that Kira is very good and accustomed to, this particular role, but God, Olga, poor fucking Olga, man. I need to look up exactly what her fucking deal is, or like how her death worked, but no, I think Kira does a good job doing that. And John Eric Bentley as Caribou. Caribou is really, really cool looking character. He's really interesting, and he's got a level of strength, sincerity, and, like, he's actually genuinely kind and nice to Gray and, like, a lot of the other people on the train around him. He's definitely somebody who you don't want to fuck with in a fight, but he's got a cool little thing. But he's also got transient eyes, which can see... I'm sorry, what the fuck do his eyes do again?
Oh, his eyes let him see people's past, but they also let him store slashes. Like, he can literally attack you because I've made a slash in the past, now I'm going to slash you now. Ding dong. He basically has layaway stabbing. He, like, walks up to the Kmart. Hey, I want to put the stabbing down for Christmas. I'll pay you back in 4 easy payments.
Oh, he has the stabbing memory, not her. Oh,
yeah.
Okay. How did she do it?
Who?
Didn't she do a stab? And it's like, I'm storing this for later. It's like, did she take his ability?
No, it's because he was looking at it while she was doing it.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Sure. But no, I think John's got a really cool voice. He's definitely got a level of strength and, like, he's actually like a cool dude. I was very sad that he got like a good beating, but it's like, man, you got it rough, dude. I hope you're okay. But no,
and then he got kicked by Hephaestion.
And he got kicked by Hephaestion. But no, I think John's got a great voice, and Caribou's a pretty interesting and cool looking character design. I really enjoyed this one in particular.
I'll start with Carbo. For me, again, I'm actually not super familiar with John Eric Bentley's works. Forgive me, I've not watched Tiger and Buddy in English.
He's a princess today.
I know I should. I've seen like 3/4 of it in Japanese, so. But no, I think that he does a really good job with Carbo, making him sound world-weary and older without making him sound elderly. Because Carbo's probably just like 50s, not like his 80s. And I think the things that, for me, the scene that really gets me with him is where he talks about how he can't live in the present because of his eyes. And I think that his bond with Gray, because he's one of the people who really knows who Gray really is, or what Gray's deal is, he never takes advantage of her and always puts into her that, yes, that she is needed and wanted. I love how he talks to her, the way, like, the warmth in, his performance as Carbo, where he talks about how Waver would always find her like needed and around. She wasn't useless to him. And I think he tackles the fact that everybody on the train views him with extreme prejudice, with a lot of grace and dignity with the character. Like, he's their enemy. And there's this one part where where he offers to do the autopsy on Trisha. And he's talking to Waver, and he goes, and he just has this very matter-of-fact way, well, if it was up to me, I'd see all your souls burn in hell. But in this moment, he's not gonna do something awful, because he's not a bad person. He's just doing his job, and let's be real, he's the nicest person from the church we've met in the Fate franchise. After fucking Kotamine. Yeah, this guy you can have a nice coffee with. Adashino is really weird for me because she is so very intense and focused. And the thing is that she never lets that get into the way of her very snake-like persona. And for me, this is also one of the few times I've actually heard Julie's acting. I've only seen her in Twilight Wings, which, granted, that performance is maybe 7 or 8 minutes at tops, because those are very short episodes. Here, she has to carry a lot of weight as the calmer, more level-headed foil to Waver. And she never lets that facade ever drop, truly. There's very few things that actually shock her or cause her to lash out. And I think that Julie manages the performance without making it come off as flat and monotone, which is a very commendable thing to do. A lot of people could make this character come off as that, or go the other way, where she very much has the Ara older sister type voice. But I think she strikes the line very well, and it becomes a very enjoyable performance. Kira Buckland as Olga is a lot. She probably has to do some of the most emotional work on the show, mostly because she has to play this character who is very traumatized and has to come into herself and her self-loathing. I think, to me, the real standout moment is after, I think, Waver wakes up from getting nearly killed by Hephaestion, where she yells at him for hating people like him, hating people who don't want credit when they do great things, or people who only do great things, but she eventually admits that she hates herself more than anything else, because Olga Marie has to come through this moment of realizing her father abandoned her for this thing, and her father's been murdered. And I think that she also nails the kind of tsundere moments that Olga has, because there is a part at the very end between Rhinus and her, where Rhinus is like, are you here to give her flowers? She's like, I'm not here to visit them or anything. And you kind of get to hear Olga be a kid for that just moment. Because that's the thing in this universe, is that the children of mages never truly get to be children in the Fate franchise.
Boy,
they
don't
are either
they.
Nope.
They're either treated as objects for their lineage, or they are treated as disposable. So Kira does an amazing job getting to bring, I think, Olga to the forefront more than in any other Fate franchise, really. She is in Grand Order's dub, but she only appears in 2 episodes. So a lot of Olga's stuff is in the mobile game. So getting to this kind of being a lot of people's first real exposure to Olga Marie's character in English, I think Kira does an amazing job. Alright, are we ready to move on to our next segment?
Yeah, let's do it.
Next up, we have two returning characters from the Fate franchise. They are from the, respectively, from our good friends over at Fate Apocrypha. And I need to look up where she comes from first. And she's in the last episode of
Unlimited Blade Works, and I know she visited a lot of Korean stuff apparently.
I'm trying to find her first appearance.
It probably would be Unlimited Blade Works.
She's in her own thing.
I mean chronologically, Fate Stay Night is the first thing, so chronologically it would have to be able to
be that. Yeah, I'm trying to find like where the big thing that she's from. I think it's Hollow Axia. I guess it's really weird, but they are Luvikitia Eldofet, we'll call her Luvia, and our good friend Kairi Shishigo, aka the Yondu of Fate Apocrypha.
Welcome back, motherfucker.
Welcome back, Dog the Bounty Hunter. Anyway, Kairi Shishigo comes from the alternate universe of Fate Apocrypha as well as Callus, which we'll go over when we get to Callus. In this world, the Team Deathmatch Grail War never happened. That's the only way I'm describing what the fuck Apocrypha is. We have an entire episode on Apocrypha as well.
Team Deathmatch!
Team Deathmatch! Team Deathmatch!
Team Deathmatch! Team Deathmatch!
I'm not getting it. Oh yeah, Team Deathmatch. Playing Luvia, returning to the role of Luvia is Lauren Landa, and returning to the role of Kairi is Patrick Seitz. Lauren Landa, you'll know as characters such as Annie Leonhardt in Attack on Titan, Kyoko Koda in March Comes in Like a Lion, and Tsukasa Tsukiyomi in Tony Kawa Over the Moon for You, or if you're a smart person who likes Viz, Fly Me to the Moon.
Fly me to the moon so I can kick its fucking ass. Let me show
I wonder if that's why they called it Tony Kawa. I wonder if that's the fucking reason.
That is almost certainly the reason why.
Patrick Seitz, you'll know his characters such as Frankenstein in Budlad, Dawn Underwear in Night is Short Walk On Girl, and to her a very specific subset of you, Koshiro, Saiki, and Koi Kaze.
I don't think I've actually heard of Koi Kaze before.
Andrew, you can Google the plot summary of that on your own time. I'll start the segment off. I fucking love Lauren Landa as Luvia. I've liked her since that part in Fate UBW where she wrestles Rin, her cousin. But the thing I like about it is, so Lauren Landa is the only character with an accent. Luvia is Finnish. And she likes to wrestle. Her magecraft is Gems. Literally, one of her aliases is Forklift Lady. Like, I fucking love this character so much. She is so entertaining. And Lauren Landa chews the scenery in every scene she is in as Luvia. Like, the episode where they get trapped in Magic Macy's. Because she has a security system to keep all the treasures in. And it gets her and Rhinus stuck. Her banter with Rhinus' actor. Lauren is so entertaining as this character, and I love her accent. It is so much fun. I just love her deliveries of, like, the lines like, well, any proper lady should know wrestling. Because she's into, like, the fucking WWE. She would show up at, like, a WWE arena with a sign that says, localized Tsukihime.
You're not wrong.
Like, I fucking love Luvia so goddamn much. And Laura is such a natural fit into this that you would have never guessed she wasn't acting this character for a couple of years. And the same goes as Patrick Seitz as Kairi. Kairi is by far one of the best parts of Apocrypha, and Patrick Seitz was one of the best performances in Apocrypha as this and he's a very different character in this. He is obviously, he's not in the Holy Grail War, he doesn't have his daughter Mordred with him, So instead he gets Luvia. I love how he's kind of their weird uncle teacher. I love the part where, like, they're all sitting where they've just launched Collis and fucking Rhinus at Mach speed to the train, and all the kids are on the ground, and he's like, haha, damn, son, we just launched those bitches at Mach speed. Like, I love Patrick Seitz as everyone's Uncle Necromancer. Like, again, like Lauren Landa, it feels like he has never missed a step playing Kairi Shishigo. He's still gruff and kind of rumble-tumble around the edges, but I like that this Kairi is a lot more sarcastic and kind of easygoing. And to one of the other best scenes is, like, I think in, like, episode 4, where they're shooting all the black dogs, and he's like, you know, this overtime is gonna cost compensation, I don't do this for free, and just Waver's actor very much going, go into the policies department. Like, the banter in the show is so very good, and Kairi and Patrick does such a great job as Kairi. Next up, let's hear from Andrew.
All right, I'm going to start off my thoughts with Lauren Landa as Luvia, and she is a ton of fun. She has this nice, regal aura to her, this very high-class society lady where she knows better than everybody, but she can talk the talk and she can walk the walk. She's really cool. She's really funny. I love Lauren bouncing off of the other characters, including Rhinus and Gray when they're in that, especially like when they're in that weird mall, and that was a trip and a half. And I just love the kick-ass way she talks in her tone of voice, and she's just a ton of fun. And now Patrick Seitz as Kairi. It's just really nice hearing Patrick Seitz again as Kairi, because for all we could say about Apocrypha is that it was just a really odd series, but it was a ton of fun with some really good character dynamics in and of itself. Kairi being one of the standouts of the non-servant characters for sure. He's a really fun character, and Patrick Seitz gives him this grandiose charisma to him that is just very fun, very cool, but he's just got this great, badass, like, cool uncle, like, gruff dad voice to him, too, that just makes him so delightful every time he's interacting with other characters, especially when he's talking to Gray, who's trying to cheer her up about her feeling self-conscious about not living up to El-Melloi's expectations, or not living up to his standards, or not being of much use to him. Like, Patrick Seitz is definitely a pro at what he does, and he brings so much cool guy, badass energy to Kairi as a character, and I loved what he did with him back in Apocrypha, and it's just very, very nice to hear him once again just stepping into his element and playing this cool dude. He doesn't have his best daughter Mordred anymore, but he makes up for it by hanging out with the gang of idiots in El-Melloi's magic class, which is a ton of fun, and it was nice hearing Patrick Seitz again.
Awesome, thanks Andrew. Let's go to Jet.
Start with Patrick Seitz as Kyrie. It was nice hearing him again. Definitely just appreciate the kind of very casual tone he has with performance. He just makes Kyrie seem like the chillest guy for what's effectively a mercenary who dabbles in like necromancy and stuff. I definitely appreciate a lot of Patrick's chill delivery. I thought he was pretty fun, and the episode where they were all like trapped in a mansion. And I definitely liked how well he bounced off of Lauren Landa's Luvia when they were forced to team up for a couple of episodes. That was pretty fun. And then Lauren Landa's Luvia is just extremely delightful. I definitely appreciate how good the accent is. I mean, I've never really heard Lauren Landa do an accent of anything else, but I really appreciate that it helps in making Luvia sound like extremely haughty, but not so haughty that she sounds like really over the top or distracting. So it balances that really well. And she does a really good job of this bouncing off of all the other characters. I like a lot of the energy she had with a lot of Brian's and Gray's actors during during that episode where they were all trapped in the mall. I thought she did a really good job bouncing off of them. And like everyone else was saying, I really do appreciate the joke that she's just into pro wrestling and believes in all proper women should be wrestling fans. It's beautiful.
Also, I like the fact that, like, the one sexy shot in this series of Luvia is when she's stepping out of a bathtub, and it's just showing you her fucking super incredibly sexy ripped back muscles. Like, holy shit, girl. God damn.
Don't worry, she's 18.
Yeah, they're all in college. It's fine. But yeah, definitely like the performance. Nobody were good.
Awesome. Patrick?
Yeah, honestly, like, Patrick Seiss' Kyrie is just a fucking mercenary, and I love every minute of it. He's just a hard-drinking, shoot-em-up kind of cowboy character, and it's one of the things I absolutely fucking loved about this show. I know it's been talked about a lot, but his scenes with Gray are really fun. Where he's just telling her, yeah, you know, you're a good kid, but you gotta take care of this guy because he's a fucking train wreck. And honestly, Lauren Landa as Luvia is just, you know, on equal terms, it's just a lot of fun. I was kind of bummed that she didn't really have that big of a role in Fate Stay Night that we could actually talk about her. But it's just like, yeah, she's a proper lady. She has kind of a vaguely British accent. Oh yeah, and she'll fucking take you to Suplex City. No problem.
Hell yeah, she will.
And yeah, the scene where she's basically shirtless and she's just ripped.
Mm-hmm.
You could shred cheese on those back muscles.
Hell yeah, you can.
And I gotta say, Lauren Landa also does a really good job as sort of the comedic core of the show. Because a lot of the main cast is just like this dead serious, deadpanish, and a lot of the scenes that she comes into, she is kind of the comic relief. But at the same time, it's not like a degrading comic relief. It is like she's a great character in her own right. She has a lot of agency. Like, holy shit, the Magical Macy's episode. But she is just naturally funny, and it helps break up some of the tension. And the best part is, it's never obnoxious. I really like this duo. I really like the fact that they got to show up again. So, solid thumbs up all around.
Alright, I'm very sorry for the next segment that I have to do a fucking rant at the beginning of the next segment. You know it's coming because I've been holding this in for like fucking years. Next up, we have 3 of the students in Waver's class. Besides Yvette and Luvia. They are... I have to say this name again. Kalis Forgive Yigida Millennia, Sven Goshlit, and Flat Escardos. Kalis, we'll talk about you last. Sven Goshlit he's actually 15. I looked it up on the Fate Wiki. He's apparently 15. He is a mage student who specializes in beast magic, has a good sense of smell, and always perks up when our good friend Gray is around. Flat Escardos, he's a genius of magecraft. Did I talk about? Yeah, this is Flat. Trying to find out what his magic type is. He's apparently Chaos Magecraft. He's essentially the dumb one. He's kind of the dumb, energetic child that runs around. He's usually getting grabbed in the face by Waver and told to stop being stupid for once. And Kalis Yigida Millennia is the head of the Yigida Millennium clan. You know him from Fate Apocrypha, as he was he was Berserker of Red. No, Berserker of Black's master, aka Frankicide. He is the single greatest fuck you point in all of Fate Apocrypha. I'm still mad about it to this day. Because in this universe, his sister gave up being a mage, and now he's in charge. But if you remember Fate Apocrypha, there was that whole bullshit where she couldn't be a mage because she couldn't be mean to fucking people. And yada yada yada, and we're gonna fuck over the girl character because the girl character wants to be nice. And she's in a wheelchair, and blah blah blah. Fuck you, Fate Apocrypha. But Callus is kind of there, and he's the nerdy one with the computer. Returning to play Callus is Tom Bauer. Returning to play Flat is Koi Dao. And playing Sven is David Arago Jr. Tom Bauer, you'll know his characters such as Phaeton in Hunter x Hunter, Hush Midday and Mobile Suit Gundam Iron-Blooded Orphans, and Garp Goemon in Welcome to Demon School Iruma-kun. Koi Dao you'll know as Rei Kiriyama in March Comes In Like a Lion, Yuli in Sirius the Jaeger, and Cancer Cell in Cells at Work. David Arago Jr. you'll know as Koki Furuta in Kuroko's Basketball, and this one isn't anime, but I found it, but he was apparently Ferb in Phineas and Ferb Candace Against the Universe. Yeah, that's fun.
Wow.
So Jet, go ahead.
So starting with Tom Bauer's Callus, he does a odd job here. He does a good job of making Callus sound like a very nice, proper boy. Has some pretty good interaction with Waver. Definitely comes off as having a better head on his shoulders than some of Waver's other students. He doesn't have nearly as much to do here as it is in Apocrypha, so I don't have, too many other thoughts. Otherwise, I don't think Tom did a fine job. Although again, we did touch on how bad the mysteries in this show are. The whole thing with him, he was swapped out for Dr. Heartless at some point. It was yeah, there was no way the audience was ever going to catch on to that.
It's also just was he knocked out? Was he just chilling? Was he just in his room?
They put him in a pocket. No, they put him in a pocket dimension.
Oh, that's what it was.
They broke him out.
Oh,
and then they yeeted him on the train.
I'll be honest, I've been workshopping a joke that, Callus is probably torrenting anime all week. But the thing I've been trying to figure out is that in the universe of Lord El-Melloi and the Fifth Holy Grail War takes place in 2004. So I've had to workshop and figure out what anime came out in 2004 that Callus would be torrenting. And guess what, Megan? Guess what fucking anime came out in 2004? Fucking Koikaze.
So you think he's you think he's into Koikaze?
Either that or Midori Days, because that's also 2004.
Midori Days was cute at least. Mostly.
I mean, he could have also been doing Gantz, Monster, Samurai Champloo, or Tengo Tenge. Those are all possible.
He could be watching Elfen Lead or Bleach.
Oh god, he could be watching Elfen Lead. Fuck, he's the... Oh,
okay, yeah, he strikes me as an Elfen Lead guy, not a Monster guy.
Oh god,
Nanaha.
I love you, Callus, but you're totally a trashy piece of shit when it comes to your anime taste. Love you, buddy. Please continue.
Are you sure he was pirating something from that age? Also, this takes place in 2004?
Yeah, this takes place in 2004, for sure.
Oh, right! Duh!
Yes, I mean, it is only slightly less weird than the fact that, most of the Digimon Tri movies take place in, I think 2006 or something like that.
And they have smartphones.
Yeah.
Yeah, this takes place in 2004 because, the whole thing is the fact Fate Stay Night takes place in 2004, 10 years after Fate Zero, and that's when Bill Clinton's still president.
I keep forgetting that Fate Zero takes place in 94, even though there's an entire scene dedicated to Ryder talking about how he wants to fight Bill Clinton.
Man, that's such a good scene.
I mean, wouldn't be the first time Clinton whipped his dick out.
Oh. Good night, everybody. Koi Dao is Flat, and Commander Junior is Sven. It's hard not to talk about these two characters together because they are pretty much just always around each other, and I don't want to say they intersect because they do have very opposing personalities, but But they are around each other constantly and just play off each other all the time. But I do definitely dig their performances. Um, I definitely Cooling down with Flat is definitely very interesting because he sounds very peppy and hyperactive constantly, which are not things I really don't I associate with cooling down characters normally, but he does a pretty good job at that. I also kind of liked his whole conversation with Gray when they're like down the sewers, where he messes up Weaver, like basically the only person in the main world who like takes him seriously, and that's why he respects him. And I was like, oh, that's nice. He does care beneath all the times he's joking around. And then uh, I also do appreciate how much he just kind of is constantly busting Sven's chops about his crush on Ray, and that's like pretty funny. And then Sven, David Ergo Jr. does a fine job. I mean, he's a bit on the quiet side, so there's not like a whole ton there, but his performance is fine. And I mean, a lot of it is just like jokes at his expense about how horny he is for Green, and that's like that. But that's pretty amusing. And they do get better mileage out of that joke than Everything What You Bet, so there's at least that. And yeah, I think I'm done.
Awesome. Patrick?
Yeah, so honestly, it's still kind of fucking me up that Sven is played by one of the voices of Ferb. But I'm gonna start with him and Flat because they're honestly, while they do have their distinct personalities, they're basically played like dumb brothers. David Arago and Koi Dao do a really good job basically playing the idiot has a point brother and then the smart brother. They're really great. They're really fun. David getting to play around with Sven's thirst for Gray. I thought that was really kind of fun. Again, they're a little bit of the stronger comedic relief in the show, just because Luvia doesn't really play much of a big role until toward the end. Honestly, Koi Dao and David Arago Jr. do an absolutely wonderful job, just sort of breaking moments of tension and honestly being a lot more competent at their magical skills than even they kind of want you to know that they have. And Tom Bauer as Callus is also pretty good. He seems to be sort of the smartest one of Lord El-Melloi's class because he gets, in the final episode of the show, he gets promoted to the level of Pride, which I guess is like a high class.
No, that's Sven.
No,
oh, that's Sven. Okay.
And like, especially knowing that Sven is 15, it's like, okay, so you're just a full-on child prodigy.
Yeah, just like Kenneth was.
Okay, I got Sven and Callus kind of mixed up. My bad. But yeah, I'm also kind of with Jet in the fact that how the fuck did Dr. Heartless manage to incapacitate Callus long enough to take his place? Because you never actually see it. And you don't see much of an opportunity for him to do it.
I'd like to think Dr. Heartless subconsciously was able to figure out that Callus had a thing for quiet, blindfolded girls in wedding dresses, and then threw it in the pocket dimension, and then knocked him out in the pocket dimension.
The worst part is when you said that, I immediately pivoted to an entirely different fate than the one you were probably thinking of.
I realized.
What were you thinking of?
Oh, you're thinking of the time Saber got like tied up and was put in a wedding dress.
Oh yeah, that part of UBW where Saber's entire agency got thrown in the garbage.
No, yeah. I was just thinking about the fact that he's really into Frankenstein. That's what I was going off. But yes, that was a thing. And there is another scene in the show where somebody gets tied up, but they're not put in a wedding dress.
Okay. Anyway, these three performances were great. They were fun. Some of them kind of provided comedic relief when it was necessary. So, great job, guys. Thumbs up.
Oh, Callus. Welcome back, you little traitor.
What did he do? He didn't do nothing wrong.
No, Tom does a great job as Callus. I do like the parts where he kind of has to act as Dr. Heartless being Callus, because you can very much hear the differentiating in the way that they speak and their tone. You can very much tell when the evil Catalyst kicks in. But again, he doesn't have as much of a big part in this as everybody else does. I do like how in episode 2, Sven and Flat start fighting in front of his computer. He's like, "Not my computer!" Because he's literally got like a three monitor gaming PC.
In 2004, which that must have been like 480p tops.
Tops. Oh boy, I can't wait to watch my pirated sub anime.
At like 160 bits. No, YouTube.
Part one of 3.
Actually 2004 predates YouTube. He's on like the hard shit.
Napster.
No, Megan. It would have been LimeWire. He put LimeWire on his computer, and it broke the next day.
Oh God! Oh no!
He borked the Ygin Millennia. He borked the Ygin Millennia computer system by buying porn on LimeWire.
I feel like, you know what it was? Flat totally fucked up his computer trying to download a Britney Spears album, and then it turned out to have like 1,200 viruses on it because it was fucking LimeWire.
Why is Flat getting the Britney Spears album?
I don't know. He seems like the type that would be totally into Britney Spears.
He would be free Britney.
I mean,
anyway,
aren't we all?
Anyway, except Britney's dad.
Oh. Well, fuck him, anyways.
Yeah, fuck that guy. Anyways, no. So Tom comes back as Catalyst very well. I love Koi as Flat because Flat is dumb as fuck. I just love how easily he bounces off the wall, like by, what was it? Hey, what big tower London shooting star? And he's just like, please stop. Like, he's so funny in this. But yet I also like those quiet moments, like where he tells Gray why he loves being in the class and how happy he is for his buddy when his buddy gets promoted. And I just love how they keep busting Spin's balls about his just tone when he busts his buddy's balls. It's so much fun. And I remember Koi was like, make more so I can keep voicing this guy. And then, Spin. He's probably my favorite of the student performances. Mostly because he tries to be this calm, David tries to do this calm, cool, and collected, but the second that Gray comes up, that facade is gone. And there's this one part in episode 2 where he's like, why is Gray calling you? Why do you have a phone? And he gets so mad and they start wrestling. But also when they're in the sewers and he finds it and just the snap in his tone, that is so chilling, where he's like, hi. And it freaks Gray out. It's so good. David's a performance that really surprised me, mostly because I don't know a lot of his work, even though he is in a series that I love. I just haven't watched the top of it all yet, because I'm waiting for the last season to come before I do the episode of it. But yeah, no, great work all around. Andrew!
So funny you mention wanting to hear more of Koi play this character, because from what I'm told, Fate Strange Fake, Flat Escardos actually plays a pretty prominent role in that, and I've really been wanting to see that get adapted, because that one is written by one Ryogo Narita of Baka no Durarara fame.
Oh my god, is that fucking Ringo Morita?
Yeah, it is.
Why don't we have that?
Because I'm not sure why, but from what JR Pictures was telling me, actually, is that what he was telling me is that they're apparently actually have a pretty good amount of control over that particular IP, despite it being a Fate project, which is pretty impressive in itself. That's kind of why it hasn't showed up in a lot of various Fate media like Fate Grand Order, but I really want to see it finished and get adapted because I really need to see what Ryogo Narita Fate looks like. I need to know.
Also, there's literally just a wolf.
So first things first, I'm gonna start off with Tom Bauer as Callus, because it's just actually really nice getting to hear him back again. I thought he was a very interesting character in Apocrypha, and he's got the same level. He basically is the same character in El-Melloi as he was in Apocrypha. He's got a level of dorky, earnest sincerity to him. You could definitely tell he's not built for this, but he's definitely doing his best with the circumstances presented in front of him. Tom plays him very sweet, a little bit of snark at times, but he plays him very good boy, very sweet, and Tom really does a good job endearing me to the character of Callus, and I do believe that he is trying his best in this weird mage society, while also being the only guy with a very powerful 2004-era supercomputer. Now, fucking Flat and Sven. I love these little blonde bitches so much. They share a single fucking brain cell, and it is amazing. Like, it feels like, I'm pretty sure that Sven has the single brain cell, and Flat is the one that has to share it with him every now and then. But I love these bickering blonde bitches so fucking much, and just everything about their delivery cracks me up. David as Spin plays this very good little prodigy beast boy, and he is earnest, very cool, level-headed, except when it comes to Gray, in which he becomes a giant fucking stupid idiot for, and it's just, he does a really good job selling me on the drama of this, not the drama, the strengths of this character when he goes into action, while also playing him off as very goofy and try-hard when it comes to Gray's affections. And then there's Koi as Flat, when it's just, Koi is a chaotic, stupid motherfucker that likes to get in trouble with El-Melloi all the goddamn time, and Koi plays him with a level of such kind stupidity that it's just absolutely delightful. He's so fun, and you can tell that he is living to try and tease his professor, like, to the ends of the earth, and it's just a delight. Though I think my favorite scene with these two in general is when Sven is freaking out about the fact that Flat has Gray's number, and he's like, How did you get her number? How did you get her number? And it's like, duh, I have a cell phone. You don't. Which, that's how you know this is an older mid-2000s time era, because not everybody has a fucking cell phone, and some people have flip phones. But I love how Flat kind of gets to be the level-headed one in that scenario and gets to lord over his buddy there. It's just so funny. I love these two fucking idiots so much. Koi and David are delightful.
Awesome. So let's move into Lord El-Melloi's financial support system. Support system, I mean people who people who keep taking money from Waver Velvet, giving it and taking it. It's like the fucking Jetsons where, like, he pulls out the dollar and she takes the wallet. They are Rhaenys El-Melloi Archisorte, who is Kenneth's actual Kenneth El-Melloi's cousin, who, when, Kenneth got double-crossed in the world's greatest, reverse Uno card of death, she is too young to take over, so she has asked Waver because Waver bought the Lord El-Melloi title, to stand in her place at the clock tower until she's old enough, but he has 3 things to do, that being pay off their debt and repair their magical circuit. Because when Kenneth got his ass handed to him, it destroyed a lot of his magical circuit. And then there's Melvin Waynes, who is Waver Velvet's quote-unquote best friends. He is an albino a best friend. He is an albino sugar daddy with a penchant for spontaneously puking up blood on your carpets. He also likes to dig into his mommy's pockets. He's also a magic tuner, meaning that he can fix and enhance people's magic circuits, which is really important in, like, the last episode, actually, because you find out that Waver's collateral is his own magic circuit, which is a big fucking deal, because Waver's only a 3rd-generation mage. Playing Rhaenys is Allegra Clark, and playing Melvin is our director, Christian Lamont. Allegra Clark, you'll know as characters such as Senna in Konosuba, God's Blessing on This Wonderful World Season 2, Cecil Sue in Last Hope, and Pita Hui in Sword Art Online, Gun Gale Online. Christian Lamont, you'll know as characters such as Suishi Tsukamoto in Sound Euphonium, A Brand New Day, Makoto Kyogu in Detective Conan Episode 1, and Damuel in Ascendance of a Bookworm. And because a bunch of us here are Fire Emblem Three Houses people, he is sweet baby Ignatz.
I love my boy Ignis. He's so good. He's so good. A good archer.
I'm so surprised you named the cat Ash and not Ignatz.
Look, Ash was a name that fit better for him as far as what he looked like. Ignatz is also a lot harder to say in general. Plus, with his funny little patterns on his coat, it kind of looks like he's got a little bit of like ink or ash all over him.
Ashy patterns.
Anyways, also, why is every archer in Fire Emblem Three Houses, why do they all grow up to be so fucking hot?
Anyway, guess who, Andrew, you're talking, go ahead.
I'm gonna start with Melvin first, actually, because I think Christian Lamont is a really interesting actor in general. I'm very accustomed to him after playing a lot of the Golden Deer route in Three Houses, where Ignatz became a very valuable unit to me. But I think Christian brings this very interesting, lackadaisical, carefree spirit to the magical world that you don't really find in a lot of these rival magic families. He's just kind of here for a good time and to be Waver's albino sugar daddy, and he's going to spend all the money he wants to have a good time. But I think Christian does a good job giving him a nice air of sweetness with a little bit of mystery and just a sheer amount of chaos. So, I think Christian does a very nice job with it, and I think he is does a very good job with this character. Now, who I really want to talk about is Allegra Clark. Allegra Clark as Rhinus. First things first, I'm gonna mention, just because you didn't mention it earlier, Megan, I'm gonna mention the fact that Allegra Clark is no stranger to this podcast, and also no stranger to the Fate franchise, because I want to mention the fact that she was not one, not two, but three different characters in Fate Apocrypha. She was the Archer of Red, she was the Caster of Red, Semiramis, and Atalante was the Archer of Red, two different servants, and the Master of Jack the Ripper. All three of these women sounded completely different from one another, and it was my first real glance into Allegra Clark's range, and I was very impressed then, and I am still getting impressed, because holy shit, this is not an Allegra I've ever heard of. This is an extremely high-pitched, catty, bratty little bitch, and she is spectacular. She's incredible. Her chemistry with these other characters is stellar enough as it is, but her delivery is so unique and so unlike anything else I've heard out of Allegra Clark before that it genuinely is like one of the most interesting performances in this entire dub. I'd say one of the strongest in the dub, period. It's really something to behold, and I think Allegra absolutely nails playing this really compelling, bratty, cunning child. Also, she's just I know they're not actually related, but I think she's a little too into Waver's virginity card, his V card. Because, like, when she's dealing with her magic circus being low, she's like, hey, so I found out that this is a good room for baby making. You want to bear me in air right now? That'll be pretty good. It's like, sweetie, no, you're
No.
like 15.
No!
Stop it. You can even tell that even she's just that Waver's just like, no, I'm not having any of this. No. But yeah, no, legitimately, Allegra Clark, fan-fucking-tastic. I cannot believe somebody I already knew was still super talented could still surprise me like she does. I was very impressed.
Patrick.
Yeah. Let's start. You know what? I'm gonna start with Melvin. He's got a really fun sort of manic energy to him, which of course, when these episodes start up, he immediately pukes up blood, and that's the end of that, and everybody's just like, yeah, gross. But I love the fact that he basically has, Waver, Lord El-Melloi, by the balls, because he's giving him so much money, but at the same time, all he's asking for is to be involved in his shenanigans. And it's great. Like, Christian does a really good job just sort of pumping up the energy and just... This guy's just a ball of pure, like, sugar cereal. And it's just... He goes, like, a mile a minute and then just pukes up blood. I don't even know why he pukes up blood. He just pukes up blood.
He just does.
He has anime character disease.
I see.
It's terminal.
And then Allegra Clark as Rhinus. I actually had to be reminded by Andrew that she was like 3 different characters in Fate Apocrypha. So this is actually really impressive because I didn't immediately recognize her here. I love the fact that she just absolutely gets under Lord El-Melloi's skin and is just an absolute shit gremlin. She's just great. Both of these guys are just great at sort of a different kind of comedic presence to the show that lends itself really, really well to sort of the gruff, the stiff, the serious sort of mystery aspect to it. So, thumbs up all around.
Kristen Lamont as Melvin. Did a pretty good job being this fun, being this fun kind of wacky figure who pukes up blood and is basically just... Okay, I would say Waver's boyfriend, but that's not fair. He's more... I would say Waver's side hoe. It is clear Waver isn't going to do one person only.
I mean, Melvin's just really good practice. Like, he gets to prepare himself a little bit for when the king comes back inside, you know? Plus, Melvin's got a lot of natural lubricant he can use. But yeah, Melvin's just good practice.
Okay, yeah,
Look, it's like the meme with the hamster and the banana. You figure it out somehow.
But anyway. But yeah, I do like Christian Lamont's performances. Melvin, he's a lot of fun. He bounces off of Waver's actor really well. They have a lot of fun interactions. And I think one of my favorite bits of him is like is when he's being told about like everything that's going on the train, and his immediate reaction is, "I have to get on that train. Like the only one who's allowed to hurt Waver is me."
Yeah.
I'm the only one that can hurt him. Like, what the fuck?
So yeah, that whole thing was beautiful. And then Allegra Clark as Rhinus is interesting because honestly, until Megan brought it up, I actually didn't remember that was Allegra Clark. I actually thought it was the actors we'll probably be talking about in the next section. And it did kind of, and it did like,
I'm not gonna lie.
and it did sound like her. So I honestly just thought that's who it was.
It's legitimately impressive. It's crazy.
But yeah, Allegra did a really good job just being this very sassy, uppity girl. Again, I do appreciate that her literal introduction is her as a 3-year-old bullying Waver, like stacked up on like 3 chairs just to.
It's like 3 very elegant boxes.
Yeah, just specifically so she could look down on him.
She kind of reminded me of the villain from Cats Don't Dance in a way, if you remember that.
Oh my god! Fuck, you're right!
Yes!
It's true. It's true. But yeah, like, or just and there's just so much sass and energy to Olivier's performance. It's beautiful. And again, her vocal rate, Olivia's vocal rate just continues to terrify me. This really doesn't sound like any of the three characters he played in Fate Apocrypha. The only point of comparison I would probably have for this is the true form of the true form of the characters he plays in Gun Girl Online, but that's a whole other thing. But yeah, Ellinger was a lot of fun here. I like how she bounces off of all the other characters, especially Waver. I did get a chuckle out of her being like, "Hey, we should do some maybe making Waver be like, just go to sleep." So yeah, both performances are real good.
So I'll start with Melvin, who... There are some lines between Rhaenys and Melvin, though. Like, I think it's like that episode where he bursts into her office, just her delivery of, please don't spontaneously vomit on my carpet. No, can you please not vomit on the floor? My thing is, though, I'm also very sad that Rhaenys' little metal, attendant doesn't get credited. Because when they're locked in the Macy, she has a fucking hilarious moment. I'm so upset I don't know who it is. Melvin, Christian Lamont. There are some times where I'm not super familiar with Christian's acting outside of Fire Emblem. Sorry, Christian. But he rocks it as Melvin. He plays him as this very lovable, dumb kind of guy who really does have a good kind of heart deep down. And I genuinely love the conversation between him and Gray in the last episode of the show. Where Gray is like, why do you keep calling him Waver? Because he is the only person who calls him Waver. Like, the entire show. And just the absolute sincerity of his voice, where he's like, eventually he's going to step down. And he won't be Lord El-Melloi II anymore. And no, everyone will call him Waver again. But he does it because he doesn't want to let Waver forget that he is still Waver Velvet. And there's just this beautiful, like, he genuinely cares for him. Like, is he kind of a financially well-endowed troll? Yes. Does he mean well? Maybe. But I love that Christian gets to play him being serious, being really funny. Those bludged vomits sound great. I love in that first episode where Rhaenys has him upside down and he's telling the story about the two of them in Babylon together. Just the will you shut it, new guy? And then he's just like, oh my god, it's you. And it's just so much fun to listen to. And then I genuinely have to give Allegra Clark some props. Because one, I totally forgot she can do a little girl's voice. Because the thing is that Peter Huey's true form is like a maybe 5-minute long scene at maximum. And I also forgot that Allegra Clark plays 3 people in Fate Apocrypha. I genuinely forgot. So the fact that she not only plays a 15-year-old Rhaenys very convincingly, but that she plays the 5-year-old Rhaenys very convincingly is great. And that thing of her, I love the first kind of interaction that you get to learn Rhaenys' whole kind of character is where she's this little girl going, you know, the human body can only take being upside down for so long, so you better get talking. And she's just this delightfully haughty girl who is very much pushing Waver's buttons. And and there's the sense in this voice where Rhaenys is already playing the politics game of the Mages Association. Because she's dealing with, Soliad's brother, who doesn't like Waver very much. Who, I think that guy is played by Zeno Robinson?
I thought it was Alex Lee, actually. It sounded a lot kind of like, his guy from Kuroko.
Yeah, he's not credited. That guy isn't credited, unfortunately. Whoever plays, Soliad's brother, please jump up, please jump up. And just how well she transitions from little girl to teenager. And how she also has those moments of vulnerability, like when her brand is going her brand is going off in episodes 3 and 4, and just, don't use me like a catalyst. Shut up, catalyst. She's just it's so much. That's the thing about this dub, is that a lot of these performances are fun. And when they have to be heartfelt, they have to be heartfelt. But just characters like Rhinus, who are very sleazy. Like, there's no way about that this girl would shank you in your sides and take your money. And, pulls it off. And again, I'm 100% surprised that she could do this. Like, this is, to me, one of the epitomes of voice acting black magic. Because let's all be real, none of us, if I hadn't told, okay, by a show of hands, if I hadn't told any of you it was Allegra, would you have guessed it was her?
No.
So, yeah, that's my feelings. Let's move on to our penultimate characters, Gray and Ad. And it's finally time for me to read Gray's fucking deal. Ladies and gentlemen, from the Type Moon fan wiki, the clan of the village where Gray was born aimed to create a being capable of handling the holy lance that had been passed down for generations. In other words, their purpose was to revive King Arthur in flesh and spirit. However, their attempts had thus far been contemptuous failures, and the ritual had been relegated to folktale and tradition. Gray was to be the flesh of King Arthur. When she was born, her facial features vaguely resemble those of King Arthur. But 10 years ago, her body suddenly changed into that of King Arthur's. Losing her true face, she could no longer differentiate her own existence from that of King Arthur. Because of this, she could never fully understand herself. Due to Gray's situation, the villagers, including her mother, Magdalena, believed her to be King Arthur's second coming and energized the village elder in making them take seriously the plan to bring back King Arthur. As a result, Gray feared and hated her own face. The villagers treated Gray as the body of the king and started regulating her lifestyle to the finest detail to try and increase her compatibility as much as they could. With Gray's body and the corpse king as the mind, the last remaining part of the ritual was the soul, which the villagers stuck on since manipulating the soul like that would require third magic. However, they were given information from Dr. Heartless about the 4th Fuyuki Holy Grail War and the upcoming 5th, and decided to gamble everything on Arthuria being summoned again, and they could intercept her soul coming from the Throne of Heroes by providing the perfect vessel. Once Gray became a perfect physical copy of just as the Fuyuki 5th Holy Grail War started, they would use the blade Erosion to given them long ago by the Black Madonna to separate Gray's mind and soul from her body, override her personality with the Corpse King and the mental construct, thus allowing King Arthur's spirit to enter her body. Unfortunately, that meant Gray's soul would be lost forever. So basically, they made Gray to be a fucking body for King Arthur.
That is actually...
They test tube made their own King Arthur robot.
So that is odd, but weirdly, that is actually not that bizarre by face standards.
You know what? It's not magic sperm. I know it's not the magic fucking sperm.
It's still convoluted as fuck, though.
Exactly.
It is also weird that this is never actually brought up in the show at all for some reason.
Yep. And then there's Ad. Ad is a construct that was basically passed down in her family. So it's basically King Arthur's spear, and it talks. And it's very, very smarmy. Okay, so playing Gray is Kaylee Mills, and playing Ad is Greg Choon. Kaylee Mills knows characters such as Frida and Descendants of a Bookworm, Yun and Konosuba, and Karin Nanase in Inspector. This is also not her first Fate rodeo, as she was Fiora Yiga de Millennia, aka Girl Who Gets Screwed, in Fate Apocrypha. Greg Choon you'll know as characters such as Ethan in Dragon's Dogma, Aragaki in Megalobox, and the Man with the Key in Millennium Actress. Let's start this off with Patrick.
Alright, so I guess we'll start with Kaylee Mills as Gray. I feel like, she does a great job sort of with she's very monotone as a character, I guess is what I'm trying to get at, and Kaylee does a great job sort of conveying that, while at the same time slowly allowing her to warm up and open up to the people around her. And this goes as far as to her enemies as well when she's fighting Faker and they get trapped out in the weird magical forest. The child of Enoch, I think is the name of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they basically have to work together in order to escape and get back to the train. I generally liked it. Greg Chun is Ad. He's a salty sailor, and I just love it. He trash talks everyone around him, and it's just absolutely great. And one thing I actually kind of appreciate, and it's not anything that Kaylee or Greg do as Gray or Ad. It's in the final fight between Gray and Faker when she's able to activate her, I guess, the closest thing to her noble phantasm that she has.
The Dr. Octagonopus
Yeah.
laser. Dr. Octagonopus.
Because I don't know if it was ever credited. I could almost say you can hear either Kari Walgren or Michelle Ruff as Saber in the background, as well as David Vincent as Gilgamesh. And I think at least a few more of the Fate Zero heroic spirits were in that sequence. And I thought that was a really nice touch.
I'll have to go back and listen to that.
Like, I could very well be wrong, but I feel like it was all of the heroic spirits of Fate Zero. I think sans Iskandar. But if I'm right, that was a really fucking nice touch. Ad is a smarmy little bitch, and Gray is just sort of a little monotone, but, like, slowly warming up, and I really liked them both, so thumbs up.
Awesome. Jet?
Sure. Greg Chun is Ad. He was a lot of fun. He was very snarky. Admittedly, it has been a good while since I've heard Greg Chun do this sort of thing. I know he can do it because, that was basically the role he did as the Octopus character in Hunter x Hunter, whose name currently escapes me for some reason.
You mean the chameleon?
I said the octopus.
Oh shit, yeah!
Yeah, I know who you're talking about, but the name escapes me.
I know who you're talking about. I gotta look it up right now.
The name escapes me, but it's...
Icalgo!
Icalgo. Yeah, he did this kind of voice for Icalgo, but I haven't really heard him do anything like that since then, so I'm very used to Greg Chun just doing a very default sexy Greg Chun thing, which is so it's nice when he gets to play something different every now and then. And this was a lot of fun. He does a pretty good job busting Gray's chops constantly, and it's pretty amusing. So I also do the kind of robot monotone when Gray has to use the lance and whatnot. Kaylee Mills is great. It's very solid. I mean, I've gotten pretty used to hearing Kaylee Mills as Janet Gremlins for a while, so even though I know she can do quieter characters, it is a little refreshing hearing her do this sort of thing, and she does it very well. I mean, she does a very good job of making Gray just seem like a very nice, stiff, kind of quiet girl. Who's just trying to do the right thing and look after Waver. And they have a pretty nice little student-teacher dynamic going. That's very cute, whatnot. And so I do like how she bounces off a lot of the other characters. I like the whole bit about how she's just completely clueless to Swain's crushing her, just thinks he hates her for some reason, and that's pretty funny. As before, I didn't like how she bounced off of Hephaestion while they were fighting. I thought they had a pretty interesting dynamic going. And admittedly, I was kind of annoyed by the fact that we never really learned what this character's deal was in the show proper, and that kind of bothered me throughout. But that's not on Kaylee's performance. And I thought that otherwise he did a good job. I like both of these.
Awesome. And let's go to Andrew.
So I'm gonna start off with Greg Chun as Ad. So I know, just to keep the theme, Megan, I know you already mentioned who Kaylee played already in Fate, but there's actually somebody that Greg CHOO has played in Fate before.
What the fuck did Greg play?
Well, Greg CHOO played twice H. Pierceman in Fate Extra Last Encore, the one shafted that we're probably not gonna cover.
Okay.
But yeah, let me go into Greg for this one. Greg is I've got a kind of familiar with Greg CHOO as a voice actor. I've got a good feeling of his particular tone of voice. He plays kind of like cooler, gruffer sounding cool guys. Ad is not that at all. Ad is wacky, weird, sassy, bitchy animatronic, and he is not afraid to chastise and belittle poor Gray here. He's gonna make fun of her and he's gonna talk shit to her. I think my particular favorite one was I think one of my favorite moments is that Gray's fucking riding his face like a surfboard, and he is just so pissed that she's riding his face like that, and he's not having it. You can tell he's not having it. And he also makes fun of her and says like that she's really worried about the professor and trying to make him all her embarrassed like that. I was like, oh, he's an asshole. He knows all her dirty secrets. He's not afraid to put it all on the line. But then when the restraints are done, then he goes from being a goofy, weird little like animatronic terror to like actually really cool guy, serious Greg CHOO, where it's like releasing restraints. Number one, it's like, oh, that was not the voice I expected at all. Like he literally unleashes his personality, and he gets to do his thing. I think Greg brings a really unique tone of voice to Ad, and it's really interesting, and I was pretty impressed by it. And then there's Kaylee. Sweet, adorable, precious little Gray. She's doing her best she can. She's doing a good job. I love this little goth child. Goth Grim Reaper good girl. She's so sweet. She's so cute. She's also really good at doing like cool action scenes too, which I was very surprised by. She has a lot of great chemistry with El-Melloi in particular, as well as the other members of his class. She does a really good job doing drama, doing like also really cute little silly scenes when she's out with the mall and being a girly girl. Or also when she's very distraught when she's talking to Kyrie about being worried about her professor. And also when she undoes those restraints and she just becomes Grim Reaper Saber. It's very cheesy, but I kind of adore the clearly English, but then just actually dubbed in English, grave, deprave, grave for you. It's like, it's so silly, but I think Kaylee does a good job selling it, as well as doing the really good action, super-powered, Noble Phantasm Lance Scream. But I just think, legit, Gray is a very fun, very sweet character. Kaylee gives a very endearing, powerful performance as Gray. It's very unique. It's very interesting. And I really like Kaylee and a lot of the things she does. But yeah, kind of like Greg, I'm glad that Kaylee's got a lot of vocal variety and diversity to her vocal range that she really gets to play around with in a show like this.
Okay, so I want to talk about Ad first. I really like Greg's performance, even though it's got that weird filter on it to make him sound a little more like demonic. But it works really well. Like you said, you guys are right. We don't get to hear a lot of Greg CHOO being a little smarmy asshole. And I love that every time that he does, she just takes him and starts shaking him around like the little girl from Finding Nemo with the fish in a bag.
Oh, jeez.
Like, she's just like, excuse me. And he's like, stop it! And I just love how fucking awful he is. And I really love the part where she snowboards on his face. Please, you're gonna shred my face off! But I also like he has that one genuine moment of sincerity. Where he's like, tell me what you finally want with your own words, and she does. And it's great. And then she fucking Dr. Octagonopus's Faker and Dr. Heartless. I can't describe it as anything but Dr. Octagonopus blah. She fires in her laser. And then... God, because I can't say more about Greg that's already been said, but I want to talk about Kaylee's performance as Gray. And one of the things I'm very happy about is that they didn't have her emulate Kari Walgert or Michelle Ruff as Saber. Because she's a copy of Saber, but she's also her own person. And even though and this is one of the things I haven't complimented about the show, this show is fucking gorgeous.
Mm-hmm.
The CGI is a little wonky, but the shot work and the animation is beautiful. And I love the use of reflection in it. And there are some times when she talks, and you see not her reflection, but that of the faceless Saber that killed Kenneth. And again, I really want to compliment the fact that they don't make Ryan imitate Kari or Michelle. They let Ryan... Sorry. Sorry, let me go back. That they let Kaylee play the character. I thought this was Ryan Bartley at points. I don't know why, but Kaylee does a very good job in this. And the fact of it is that as a person, Gray comes to respect themselves. Because Gray is very reclusive and shy and curious, but she has no self-worth. And that's why a lot of the scene, like the scene where she gets stuck in Magical Macy's with Rhinus, where she's like, it's like, you two are treasures, but I'm not. And Rhinus is like, no, please stop thinking shittily of yourself. Rhinus may gatekeep Gaslight Girl Boss, but she doesn't know how to lift a sister up. Rhinus is Gaslight Gatekeep Girl Boss, and you know it.
You're not wrong.
And I think the thing that really endears me to Kaylee's performance, even though she has been in Fate before, is that, yes, it does sound different from Fiore. Even though, and Fiore's character arc frustrates me, and I hate it. Thanks for fucking her over, guys. This arc, I'm so glad she got to play a character that gets the opposite treatment. And I think that she makes Gray so endearingly cute, especially at the end where she's trying to give Waver the notebook that he bought her. And it's all beaten up because she's getting her ass kicked by his Festion. To which, God, her performance with Morgan in that scene is top-notch. But I think we've all complimented this and got over it. Let's get into the real reason we're all here. Lord El-Melloi II, better known as Waver Velvet, one of the few survivors of the Fourth Holy Grail War. In fact, I think the only people who survived were, Kiritsugu, Kotomine, him, and that's it. Right?
Technically, Kiritsugu survived the Holy Grail War,
Yeah, he survived in air quotes. He survived in air... Waver's the only one who kind of came out for the better... He came out a better person than he went in. Anyway, Waver Velvet is by far the most interesting part of Fate Zero, and you can all fight me on that. And stepping wonderfully back into his shoes is Lucian Dodge, who you know as characters such as Kenji Miyazawa in Bungo Stray Dogs, Jafar and Magi, and Yutaro Sumigi in Aldnoah Zero. I'm going to start with this because I have a lot to say, and I just want to get a couple things out, in that, like I said earlier, to me, Lucian Dodge is Waver Velvet. Nobody else plays him as well as he does. I watched the show, I watched this all in Japanese, and to be fair, I was okay with a lot of the subcast, but to me, Waver never sounded right. Because it wasn't Lucian. And I think it's because Daisuke Namikawa does not differentiate between his ages very well. And that's something Lucian does. Every age of Waver sounds like a different aging. Holy Grail Waver sounds much more youthful and energetic and a lot more naive. Kind of that Waver that goes to Babylon is still kind of more naive and good-hearted. but he's getting up there. And then, of course, you have the Waver in the show, who is very much... I think you described him as Sobnock without tenure.
Caligo, actually. That would be Professor Caligo.
Caligo without tenure. The thing is that, at times, his older Lord El-Melloi, the second voice, reminds me of his performance as Felix in Three Houses. But then there are those moments where he starts to yell. And it's so good. And the thing I really want to compliment is that I joke about, I was joking in my mind where we watch, it's like, what'd you get out of the Fourth Holy Grail War? Anxiety!
And post-traumatic stress disorder, for sure. He got that.
A lot of PTSD. Is that Lucian does convey that sense of a man stuck in time. Because I think Kyrie says it best to Gray at the end of the Fairy Eyes episode, where, like, something about the dead always being by your side and trapping people. Because Waver is still trapped by his desire to live up to the person that Iskandar wants him to be. And if you've genuinely have never seen, I think it's like, what, episode 17 of Fate Zero? Okay, if you've never seen that episode, and specifically the scene on the bridge where Iskandar and Gilgamesh have their final fight between each other, and let's be real, if Waver hadn't said the right thing, he would have been dead at that point, too. Like, full spoilers, because when he's asked, are you Gilgamesh's Gilgamesh asks him, are you his master, he says no, he's his follower. And in that moment, I guess Gil respects the answer and doesn't kill him. I'm gonna let you ride it out.
Ride it out. I see what you did there.
I'll let it... And the thing is that always is, like, the series itself goes out of its way to point out how that moment specifically is what remains in his mind. Because, like, the actual first episode opening is a very nice recreation from Troika. Studio Troika did this, not Ufotable, of him watching Iskandar die in battle. And you flash back to that, and you get a lot of flashes in the reflection of Waver seeing himself as, Lord Moy seeing himself as Waver Velvet during the Holy Grail War. And the way that Lucian portrays this man who is still emotionally attached to a person who is not only dead, but if given the chance to come back and see him again, would not remember the days they spent together. That to Waver, he would be a stranger. He would 100% be a stranger if resummoned again. And there's this thing where Gray kind of has this moment where she realizes that if he goes, he's going to leave behind the legacy that he could be building to become the man he wants to be. And to me, Lucian's performance does have a lot of very great dry wit to it, because Waver's humor is very dry-witted and very fast. It has that moment of absolute, like, hamminess, like when he gets, like, stabbed in the foot, or when he's complaining, or there are really good moments of very smarmy comedy, like at the end of episode 2, episode 3 overall, episode 2 in the episode count numbers, because there's an episode 0, fucking whatever, where he's like, well, I'm glad that worked, and they all kind of look at him like, what? It's like, yeah, I was fucking lying the whole time, as you do. And just the fact that he gets through a lot of this magic technobabble stuff without batting an eye, and it feels so natural. But I have to talk about the absolute dagger scene, where after Sven gets promoted, and he's drank too much, he falls asleep, and he has the dream of Iskandar at the beach. And shout out to getting Jameson Price back for this, like, 3 lines. Also, shout out to getting, Kenneth's actor back, too.
Doug Erholtz
as Kenneth. Which, that scene is also great, where Kenneth is talking about how he stole it and ran off to prove himself. Because that's the weird thing. Lucian takes Waver takes responsibility for Kaneth's death, but Kaneth's death isn't his fault. Kaneth's death is his own fucking fault, because Kaneth's an asshole.
Mm-hmm.
Like, Kaneth is an asshole, and let's be real, Iskandar would have probably ditched his ass. Like, the only reason Diarmuid stayed with him was because Diarmuid had a loyalty thing built into him.
And I think, like, even then, Kaneth had to pump, like, command seals into him to keep him loyal.
Yeah, like, what killed Kaneth wasn't Lord El-Melloi. It was Kaneth's pride. And essentially, I think that, and so to talk about the dagger scene, it's when, I keep wanting to call Waver Lucian, but it's not. Is when he's having that dream, and you hear Lucian in his voice trying to wrestle with the logical side of him, but you know he is, like, the happiest he's ever been to see him. And just the delivery of him crying as he tells him yes. And I fucking sobbed my eyes out when I watched that in the sub, and I sobbed my eyes out through it here. It's so good. Lucian's performance as Lord El-Melloi II is one of the highlights of this year in Dubbies, and I'm so pissed this is not streaming, because it's so fucking good! I rest my case, bring in the dancing lobsters.
I mean, even if it's not streaming, it does still count for Dubby eligibility anyway, so it's still fair game. Anyways, who's next?
And you're talking, so go.
Oh, okay. Okay, sure. I could go. Lucian Dodge as Waver Velvet. It is very clear that it's so good that he's finally got his leading role for sure in an anime, even if it's by technicality, but it still fucking counts to me. But Lucian Dodge as Waver Velvet and as El-Melloi is really interesting because they are different performances and almost sometimes different characters. Waver Velvet is a starry-eyed, naive, but well-meaning boy. You also hear him a few years older, where he is slightly older and more mature in his voice, but not too far removed from Waver Velvet in Fate Zero. And then there's El-Melloi, who is just this older, more tired, needs a fucking nap, done with the shit of everybody around him, mystery-solving magic man. He's strange, mysterious, but he means well, and he's just... Lucian brings just a level of energy. He brings a level of finesse and experience to the role that was very not there when he was playing Waver in Fate Zero. I should clarify, I don't mean like experience as in vocal experience. I mean experience with wisdom that Waver now has as a character. He makes that clear. I love his mystery solving antics. I love the fact that he is this magic mage man who knows the ways of the world, even if it's always sometimes kind of bullshit. As corny as it is, I love his explanations of the mysteries and the things around him. His little why done it is so stupid, but the way Lucian sells it is very endearing. And also, just, he means well, he's got a very strict face, but I'll say I really did like that final scene with him reuniting with Iskandar in his dream, where it was very much him getting emotional, teary-eyed, a level of vulnerability he wasn't showing throughout the entire show, and it really came through when he was asked by Iskandar if he was having fun, and he said yeah, and it's just, I felt that. And man, I made this joke as a bit earlier in the episode, Man, I made this joke as a bit in our chat earlier, but man, I actually, for realsy, want to see a AMV that is Ryder, Iskandar, and Waver to the song That Distant Shore from Steven Universe. It's really fucking good. I did it as a bit, and it fits way better than it fucking should. Anyways, Lucian Dodge was fantastic. I rest my case.
Jet.
Sure. Yeah, I really enjoyed this show. I So I was a pretty big fan of Lucian's waiver way back in Fate Zero some 10 odd years ago, and he still got it. This is definitely a lot deeper than I'm a little used to Lucian sounding. Well, I mean, okay, I mean, at least at the time I first heard this. Like, since then, he's done stuff like Felix and Fire Emblem, so I'm like a little more used to this voice now, but the first time I heard it, it was a little weird for him, but he definitely makes it work. And so, I will say, I do think there are a couple of points where it does feel like he's like maybe straining his voice a little bit to like maintain the older, gruffer sounding waver, but otherwise he's fine. And like you were all saying, I think he does do a pretty good job of showing like waver. I'm showing waver throughout the ages, and does a really good job of like differentiating his voice depending on waver's age, and definitely more noticeably than what Dynasty Namikawa was doing. So that's something much appreciated. And yeah, I definitely just appreciate how well he does a good job balancing between sounding professionally grumpy all the time, especially when he's dealing with a lot of his like very loud, annoying students. And as mentioned before, I do think he is basically just Caligo before he gets tenure. In that like Caligo, he hates all of his students equally, and that's much appreciated. But yeah, he just does a pretty good job of getting across with a lot of waivers exhaustion, but also a lot of the PTSD he's dealing with, and the fact that like Waver is just like very clearly depressed about everything that happened during the last Holy Grail War and all his regrets, and I think that Lucian does a really good job of kind of selling a lot of the melancholy he feels about that, and you can definitely hear it a lot in his tone. I think he does a really good job of just kind of portraying Waver's arc throughout the show as he tries his best to process that. Um, Especially when he finally kind of has all his encounters with Hephaestion, who kind of calls him out on being wishy-washy, and how in dealing with her, Waver kind of finally, at last, comes to terms with the fact that his Kandar isn't coming back, and he just kind of has to make his peace with that. And I think Lucian did a really good job of kind of getting that silent acceptance across really well. But of course, his big thing is definitely that final scene with his Kandar where he kind of breaks out in tears of happiness, and it doesn't. Lucian did a really good job of just selling all the various waves of emotion. Waver was really good at that moment. It was a really strong performance. And definitely cool. He got to come back to play this character after all this time. Cool. Lucian Dodds finally got a lead role after all these years.
You've been campaigning for so long and so hard, and you finally fucking got it, my man.
Yeah, both ways not the last time, but yeah, great job.
Here's hoping. Come on, anime industry, give us another one.
All right, Roots, bring us home.
So I am probably just going to segue directly into my final thoughts when I'm done with this.
Yeah, sure, go ahead.
Lucian Dodge as Lord El-Melloi II. Congratulations, Lucian Dodge, for finally memeing yourself into a lead role. You absolutely deserve this. As everybody else was alluding to, like, he had to undergo, like, 3 stages of Waver and Lord El-Melloi's voice over the course of the show. Like, the fresh from the Holy Grail War Waver, the trying to reclaim, lost elements of Iskandar sort of couple months after the Holy Grail War Waver, and then big grown-up, tired, millennial dad, Steely Dan record in the record player, Lord El-Melloi. Because don't forget, kids, Steely Dan is the band for dads, millennials, the tired millennial dads.
This may or may not be relevant. This may or may not be a relevant joke in another episode that is not technically out yet.
Will it be out before then? We don't know.
Lord El-Melloi is tired of all of his students' shit, but he's also just like, yeah, he's not gonna walk away from him either. Like, I made an investment in these kids. I can't quit now. But it also the deductive reasoning that Lord El-Melloi shows that you don't actually really get to see on screen, but whatever. That comes through really well. And honestly, there's not really much to say because, you know, everybody else in the episode kind of said it a lot better than I can, but it really goes to show how much Lucian Dodge has sort of evolved as an actor in the... God, I want to say it's been like 8 years since Fate Zero's been dubbed.
You know what? Eight sounds about correct, yeah.
Yeah.
But it's just... God, I can't remember exactly how long Lucian Dodge has been sort of around the LA anime dubbing scene, but like going from Waver Velvet and Fate Zero to Lord El-Melloi II in the Case Files, it really shows his growth and evolution, and like that's a really interesting thing to be able to witness. So props and heavy thumbs up to Lucian Dodge on this dub that unfortunately is kind of hard to get your hands on right now, which brings me into my final thoughts. Because...
Yeah, go ahead, man.
Honestly, the difficulty of obtaining the dub of this show is its biggest detriment. Not to mention, the show itself is like very deep end in Type Moon lore. Which is going to turn a lot of people who may have seen just Fate Zero off. It's fun in its own right, but you're going to get lost really quickly. But coming back around to the dub and sort of its kind of not particularly easy way to come by, it is, in the US at least, it is currently only available via a $140 Blu-ray box set. So, my metric for can I recommend this dub is, can I recommend somebody pay $140 to watch it? And honestly, my answer for this is the same as it would be for any other anime. And that is a resounding no. I'm gonna be completely honest with you, back around the time Bandai Entertainment went out of business, and like Cowboy Bebop was like $140, I wouldn't have recommended it at that price. Even before we knew Funimation had licensed Rescued it, I would not have recommended it. However, if a streaming option were to be made available, either between now and when this episode actually goes live, or, you know, at some point, I would more than heartily recommend it to people. Honestly, it's just the price of entry that is the biggest barrier for me.
I'm just gonna say this right now, if this goes up for streaming, like, either before this episode comes out, or, like, very soon after it does, I'm gonna laugh my fucking ass off.
Oh, sure, absolutely.
Yeah, same. Jet, go next.
Okay, yeah, this is a perfectly okay show. It's not a particularly great detective thing, but I mean, like, it's fine. Basically, if you like Waver, you will like this show. If you don't like Waver, look elsewhere, I guess. Dub is really solid, and there's a really nice ensemble here, and yeah, Lucian Dodge really kills it again as Waver. Fantastic job there. Yeah, like Rich was saying, it is a little hard to recommend this dub currently because I was willing to put down $140 for this, as an impulse thing, but I definitely couldn't recommend not to other people. So for now, I would say just wait for a streaming option. Hopefully, it will come eventually.
Mm-hmm.
Andrew.
Yeah, honestly, yeah, I'll say this. I am deep enough in the Fate hole at this point, thanks to all of you fucks, that I at least found enjoyment in this show. There's a lot of cameo, there's a lot of fan service, there's a lot of callbacks and references to all the different Fate series, lore, and mythos that I appreciate. this is I'll say this, if you're new to Fate, this is as terrible an entry point as you could fucking get.
Mm-hmm.
And if you only like watched maybe even just Fate Zero or Fate UBW, I don't think I'd recommend it either. I think this is specifically those who are really invested in the lore, the universe, and like at least 3 to 5 other side series of Fate. That's who I'd recommend this to. But yeah, if you are a big fan specifically of a lot of these characters, notably of Waver Velvet, it delivers on his character arc and his evolution as a person and a teacher. It does some really interesting things there. I think some of these characters are fun and enjoyable, but I think as a mystery show, it's kinda terrible. It's actually kinda fucking terrible. As a magic fantasy thing, it's pretty decent, but kinda weird. I enjoyed this show as a Fate fan, but as an actual series, I don't think it's that great. What I do think is pretty strong, though, is the dub is pretty goddamn solid. I'm grateful to see Lucian Dodge evolve as an actor alongside Waver as a character, and I think the cast and crew ensemble is really strong, and you can tell Christian, Erica, and everybody else in this is really giving their all, and really, really doing a bang-up job. I really enjoyed the cast and crew of this for a show I wasn't particularly thrilled by. And yeah, if this comes for streaming and you're a big Fate fan, I will recommend this. As it is right now, it is not worth the steep Aniplex of America price.
Oh yeah, definitely. If this wasn't I wouldn't have blind bought this, I'll be real with you. I bought this because I like the show. I think this is a great anime. Is it flawless? Absolutely not. Is it for everybody? Fuck no. Is it for me, somebody who loves Waver Velvet's character and would die for the man? Yes. I like this show a lot. This is actually one of my favorite anime in 2019. I thought it was a lot of fun. I had a great time watching this dub. I can't recommend the dub more than enough for people who are fans of it. This is a show, when somebody asks me, where do I start with Fate? I'm like, don't touch this until you've watched Zero. And probably UBW. But I think the thing that I like the most about this dub is the cast. There's a lot of people who have been in Fate before, or are coming back into it, and just get to slip into that skin again, and it seems it's perfect. And I could not compliment Lucian Dodge as Waver Velvet anymore if I tried. This is an absolute triumph for him, performance-wise. I think it is one of my favorite performances of his. I think his Zero performance is stronger, but if you ask me, like, this to me was a lot like Laura Bailey coming back for Toru. Where, like, I loved the original performance so much that even if this wasn't as good as that original performance, it put a huge smile on my face. Just for the sake of time, do you guys mind if I run through all your contacts and stuff?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Alright, cool. We're gonna speed run this. If you'd like to follow us, we are the Dub Talk Podcast. You can follow us on YouTube, Twitch, Twitter. Tumblr is dead. We post episodes every Friday at 5 o'clock. We stream on our Twitch channel multiple times a week. Please pay attention to our Twitter, where that is the most accurate and up-to-date way to get a list of who is streaming what and when. I don't want to say anything at this time about what we're playing, because obviously that is subject to change. If you'd like to support us as a one-time only thing, we do have a Ko-fi link below. You can donate there. But if you'd like to support us on the regular, we do have a Patreon, and we'd like to thank our Patreons. At our $5 tier, we have my mom and dad, Michelle Travis, the Miracula Corazon, Nico Robin, but with Yowie Hands, Sue Tweedy, and Victor Mayborda. At our 10 level tier, we have Carly Lusticow, Crimson Echidna, Jacob Wilkins, Jared Hawkins, Julia W., Marissa Lenti, Millicent Snowberry, and Otaku Anthony. If you'd like to follow any of the other gentlemen on our episode with me, we first have Jet, aka Divine Nega, on Twitter. He posts anime reviews as well as works on Podcast O&A. We also have Andrew, aka Classy Spartan. He also works as a Funimation Discord moderator. He also does Podcast O&A. Then we have Patrick, aka Roots of Justice. He's one of our Twitters. Jet also streams on Twitch. Andrew also streams on Twitch with Steph. Patrick also streams on Twitch. You can follow him at Roots of Justice. He also is planning to get a blog up and running again. And if you'd like to follow me, you can follow me at QueenNerd2 on Twitter, where I shitpost. I also hang out in the Funimation Discord, and I also stream I usually stream as well. With that being said, this has been a long episode. So we'd like everybody to get off the railgun train, put away your magic eyes, and get to sleep.
Take a deep breath. You did good there, jeez.
Alright, with that, everybody say goodnight.
Alright.
Good night, everybody. Otaku on, and figure out why you done did it. Why you did it. Why?
The who done it, why done it, where done it, we're done here. Good night.
Why
Otaku
did you just
on, my
listen to us
friends.
talk for 3 hours? That is the why done it.
It's a Fate episode, what did you expect?
Otaku on the daba.
And remember, kids, it's only 10 here if you haven't killed a student yet. Also, I love you, Waver Velvet. Bye.
物語の